Chapter 1962. Under the joint attack of the three, the savage beast took a solid hit. Its tough mane was split open, revealing the fiery red flesh underneath. If we find a suitable seller, we can earn at least 2 billion immortal jades. The Immortal Realm expert withdrew his staff. However, the savage beast suddenly went berserk the moment it was freed from his control. It stared at the Immortal Realm expert, knowing that if he had not trapped it, it would have easily dodged such an immortal technique. Roar! The savage beast roared angrily. Just as the Immortal Realm expert was feeling complacent and relaxed, a fierce slap came toward him. The Immortal Realm expert did not even have time to react before the slap landed on his body. Su Li. Zhou Wu's eyes turned scarlet when he saw the scene in front of him. After launching the attack, the savage beast seemed to have exhausted all of its energy and fell to the ground with a loud thud. However, the Immortal Realm expert who was slapped by the savage beast was indeed badly mutilated. He, who was in high spirits and thought that he would at least get a few 100 million immortal jades, was now lying on the ground with blood flowing out of his mouth. His limbs were broken and his chest was completely caved in. Seeing that the savage beast was completely dead, Zhou Wu quickly ran over. Su Li, how are you feeling? Seeing his subordinate in such a miserable state, Zhou Wu could not even reach out to help him up. He could only kneel on one knee in front of him and ask anxiously, "Leader Zhou, save me." After the Immortal Realm expert called Su Li uttered those words, his aura vanished. Zhou Wu was stunned on the spot. After a while, he gradually calmed down. He looked at the savage beast in front of him, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Losing an Immortal Realm expert meant that even if they found a 5th-level wood-attributed savage beast, with the strength of Jiang Chun and his subordinates, they would not be a match for it. Is he dead? Jiang Chun carried the wooden sword on his back and walked forward to ask. That's right. He was caught off guard and was hit by the ferocious beast. Even if he is also an Immortal Realm expert, he can't survive. Zhou Wu sighed heavily and said, Brother Jiang Chun, let's rest for a while. I have to think about whether to go back or continue on. With just the two of us, even if we encounter a 5th-level divine, Immortal Realm, immortal beast, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to it. If I go back now, won't I be ridiculed by the town? Jiang Chun glanced into the depths of the forest. He really wanted to go in, but he still had to listen to Zhou Wu's instructions. If he wanted to go in alone, he had to at least understand the situation in the vicinity. Then, he had to obtain information about the Vermilion Bird Clan from Zhou Wu. That's right. Zhou Wu was also in a dilemma. When they set off, they had caused a huge commotion. The mercenary groups in the nearby towns all knew that they were going to the forest to hunt divine Immortal Realm beasts. If they went back now, they would be ridiculed by others. Even the Beast Slayer mercenary group would lose face. If the two of us work together, we might still have a chance, Jiang Chen advised. Actually, if we go back now, a heavenly Immortal Realm ferocious beast and a level 1 divine Immortal Realm ferocious beast are enough to make us proud. However, if we can capture a level 5 divine Immortal Realm ferocious beast, then no one in the entire mercenary town can challenge the authority of our Beast Slayer mercenary group. Do you dare? Zhou Wu suddenly had a crazy idea in his mind. Why wouldn't I dare? Jiang Chun said with a smile. Good. I admire a young man like you who has guts. Seeing that Jiang Chun had no intention of backing down, Zhou Wu laughed loudly. He stood up and said to his men, You guys, bring the body of the divine Immortal Realm beast back to the manor. The rest of you, follow me and Jiang Chun and continue to go into the forest. Leader, where's Su Li? One of his men pointed at the body on the ground and asked, Bring it back and find a place to bury it. He has been in our Beast Slayer mercenary group for more than 100 years. Now that he's unfortunately killed, it's better for him to be buried in peace. Zhou Wu said with a deep sigh. Su Li's death was a big blow to him. Under his arrangement, everyone was divided into 2 groups. One group went out of the forest and left with the body of the beast and Su Li, while the other group stayed here and waited for Zhou Wu's arrangement. As for those mercenaries who were seriously injured, They could only admit that they were unlucky and left in a hurry. Brother Jiang Chun, if you encounter any danger, don't worry about anything and immediately run out of here. Do you understand? Looking at the group of people leaving, Zhou Wu whispered to Jiang Chun. Oh! Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. As long as the two of us are alive, the Beast Slayer mercenary group will not be disbanded. Even if all the mercenaries under us die in the forest, it won't take long for us to recruit new mercenaries. Zhou Wu's tone was even lower. He was afraid that his men would overhear it. Give up on them? Jiang Chun understood the meaning of his words. I don't mean to give up on them. I just mean when we encounter danger. Zhou Wu was worried that Jiang Chun would misunderstand his words, so he quickly explained. He was afraid that when Jiang Chun thought that they were in danger, he would also give up on them. However, the more Zhou Wu explained, the more confused he became. In the end, he didn't even bother to explain. Everyone, have you rested well? Jiang Chun stood up with a smile and asked the mercenaries who were sitting down to take a rest. Even if Zhou Wu didn't say it, Jiang Chun would only act on the premise of protecting his own safety. He didn't want to call Hua Xian, Ao Zhan, and the others here. Yes, everyone said in unison. They were also impressed by the strength Jiang Chun had exerted in the fight against the fierce beasts. They all believed that Jiang Chun's cultivation was only a little lower than their leaders. Compared to Su Li, who had just died, he was many times stronger. Zhou Wu waved his arm. Everyone got up and followed behind him and Jiang Chun. They continued to walk into the depths of the wild forest. With every step they took forward, they carefully observed their surroundings. In the past, it wasn't easy to encounter a heaven immortal realm beast. As for the divine immortal realm, they had to spend a lot of time looking for one. But this time, they had only been in the forest for less than a day. They actually encountered two such powerful beasts in a row. It was inevitable that they would feel fearful. It would be fine if they encountered a 5th-level divine, immortal realm wood-attributed beast. If they encountered other divine, immortal realm beasts, not many of them would be able to leave alive. Brother Jiang Chun, please sense the surroundings more. Zhou Wu walked in front of everyone, holding the broadsword in his hand tightly. Chapter 1963. After attacking twice in a row, the immortal qi in his body was showing signs of drying up. Although he had taken a large number of pills just now, it would take at least 2 days for the effects of the pills to take effect. Okay. Jiang Chun nodded in agreement. In his perception, there were no powerful ferocious beasts within 1,000 meters. However, a few hundred meters to their left, there seemed to be cultivators fighting with ferocious beasts. It seems that the bad luck has passed and the good luck has arrived. Zhou Wu could sense the few hundred meters away, even without Jiang Chun's reminder. What do you mean? Jiang Chun did not understand. Brother Jiang Chun, the cultivation of this group of people is around the Heaven Immortal stage. The leader is a Stage 3 Immortal stage. I guess they are from the Wolf Head mercenary group. This mercenary group has always had a grudge with us. They even openly snatch business from us. I didn't expect to meet them here. Zhou Wu sneered and circulated the remaining immortal force in his body to completely absorb the effects of the pills. You want to attack them? Jiang Chun frowned slightly. He only wanted to stay in the Beast Slayer mercenary group for a while and learn more about the wild forest and the Vermilion Bird tribe. He did not want to be involved in this battle. Of course, now is the best time to kill them. Brother Jiang Chun, let's sneak over and attack them when they are exhausted. Zhou Wu's eyes turned scarlet as he spoke. In the years of the Beast Slayer mercenary group's existence, he had taken care of many opponents openly and secretly to stabilize his position in the mercenary town. The Wolfhead mercenary group was his greatest worry. If he could succeed today, no one in the mercenary town would be a match for the Beast Slayer mercenary group within 10 years. Under Zhou Wu's command, everyone crept over. In less than a quarter of an hour, Zhou Wu's group had already crouched in the thicket, covering hundreds of meters. Not far in front of them, dozens of people from the Wolfhead mercenary group were fighting with a Stage 1 Immortal Stage ferocious beast. Due to the fact that their strength was slightly weaker, they had to pay a heavy price. The ferocious beast did not seem to have suffered any fatal injuries and was still resisting fiercely. On the Wolfhead mercenary group side, there were already close to 100 people lying on the ground. TSK. Coming to the desolate forest to hunt immortal stage wild beasts with this level of strength? You really think too highly of your cultivation base. Seeing the situation before him, Zhou Wu could not stop himself from laughing out. He slowly gripped the broadsword. When the divine immortal realm expert was forced to retreat, he instantly charged out. Behind him, dozens of mercenaries followed closely. The Wolfhead mercenaries panicked when they saw the sudden appearance of this group of people. Zhou Wu, what are you trying to do? Chun Tai clutched his chest. He had just taken a blow from the beast. Although it wasn't a fatal wound, 3 of his ribs had been broken and pierced into his internal organs, causing his strength to weaken instantly. Even breathing became difficult for him. Brother Chun Tai, I see that you guys are having a hard time dealing with this divine, celestial stage ferocious beast. Seeing that we're all brothers from the mercenary town, I've specially brought my men to help you. You won't refuse, right? Zhou Wu stabbed the broadsword into the ground and asked. Zhou Wu, don't play this game. The rule of the mercenary town is that no matter what grudges you have, you can't settle them in the desolate forest. Do you want to break this rule and be blamed by all the mercenary groups? Chun Tai gritted his teeth and scolded in a low voice. But if you don't say it, who will know that I'm the one who did it here? They'll only think that the Wolfhead mercenaries are too weak and that you were attacked by the ferocious beast in the desolate forest and everyone died in there. It's not like this hasn't happened before, Zhou Wu said with a smile. Could it be? Chun Tai was shocked. He suddenly understood. Could it be that those mercenary groups that went missing in the desolate forest were related to the Beast Slayer mercenary group? Zhou Wu, I'm warning you, don't go too far. Although the strength of the Wolfhead mercenaries is not as good as yours, we've all suffered serious injuries. If we really fight, it's hard to say who will win. Chun Tai took a deep breath. When he noticed that the immortal power in Zhou Wu's body was very weak, he instantly understood what was going on. Is that so? Zhou Wu sneered and said, Brother Jiang Chun, show Chun Tai your strength. Chun Tai raised his head when he heard Zhou Wu's words. He saw an unfamiliar young man who was slowly emitting the cultivation base of a 5th-level immortal realm expert. Damn it! Chun Tai cursed angrily. With an uninjured 5th-level celestial immortal realm expert around, they were no match for Zhou Wu and the others. Chun Tai looked at the ferocious beast behind him. Chun Tai was in a dilemma. In order to kill the ferocious beast, the Wolfhead mercenaries had paid a huge price. Not only were they seriously injured, but only 30 to 40 of their men were left. It would be a pity if they gave up now. However, with an uninjured expert like Jiang Chun standing here, they had no chance of winning. After thinking about it, Chun Tai decided to leave first. Let go of the ferocious beast and leave. Chun Tai waved his hand forcefully and glared at Zhou Wu as he prepared to leave with his men. Who said you can leave? Zhou Wu quickly sent his men to stop them. Zhou Wu, I've already given the injured ferocious beast to you. Don't be so shameless. Chun Tai took a deep breath. Brother Jiang Chun, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and kill him. Chun Wu became anxious when he saw Jiang Chun standing there motionlessly. If Jiang Chun did not make a move, he might not be a match for Chun Tai and the others with his current injuries. I won't interfere in your feud. Jiang Chun frowned slightly. Ha, Leader Zhou Wu, it seems like this young man has a sense of justice. Chun Tai relaxed after hearing Jiang Chun's words. He laughed out loud when he saw the ferocious beast was about to be killed by his men. You! Zhou Wu glared at Jiang Chun. However, due to Jiang Chun's strength, he did not dare to say anything. He could only watch as Chun Tai and the others killed the ferocious beast and left with the ferocious beast's corpse. Brother Jiang Chun, why didn't you kill them just now? If they died here, our Beast Slayer mercenary group would have no more opponents. You'd be able to get more celestial jades. Zhou Wu could not take this lying down. He rushed to Jiang Chun and asked. Chapter 1964. Are you using me as a gun? Jiang Chun looked up at him and asked indifferently. How can I use you as a gun? Zhou Wu was a little embarrassed and quickly explained. You have already joined our Beast Slayer mercenary group. Naturally, you have to contribute to the mercenary group. By killing Chintai and the others, not only will we have one less strong opponent in the future, but you will also get 300 million immortal jades from selling that beast. I'm not interested in this. I won't interfere with the matters of the Beast Slayer mercenary group. I'll decide what to do in the future based on the situation. Jiang Chun waved his hand and said indifferently, "You." Zhou Wu was speechless. He thought that Jiang Chun would be a very capable subordinate, but he didn't expect that Jiang Chen's temper would be so strange. Although he was angry, Jiang Chen's strength was still there. He didn't dare to reprimand Jiang Chun directly and could only choose to give in. Let's go and find that attributed beast. Jiang Chen didn't talk to him anymore and walked towards the depths of the forest. Zhou Wu fiercely waved his broadsword twice. After escaping from the desolate mountain range, Chintai and the others could finally relax. "Leader, it was really dangerous today. We almost died in there." One of Chintai's subordinates walked beside him and said with lingering fear, "That's right. If it weren't for the fact that that brat didn't listen to Zhou Wu's orders, we would have definitely died in Zhou Wu's hands. We would have had to let go of the murderer that was in our hands." Chintai panted heavily. "But that kid is obviously Zhou Wu's subordinate. Why didn't he listen to his orders?" The subordinate asked curiously. "Maybe he has his own reasons. Let's do this. When they come out of the desolate mountain range, find a way to get in touch with this person. If we can rope him into our Wolfhead mercenary group, then Zhou Wu's family won't be the only big shot in the mercenary town. We will also have the strength to challenge him." Chintai thought about the situation and said to his subordinate, "But that kid is only at the 5th layer of the immortal realm. Zhou Wu is an immortal venerable." His subordinates didn't understand. "What do you know? Chen Wu's cultivation base is only at the immortal venerable realm. It's already not bad for him to display the strength of the divine immortal realm. On the other hand, that kid is at the 5th level of the divine immortal realm. Can't you see that Chen Wu is seriously injured while that kid is fine? Forget it. You won't understand even if I tell you. Just do as I say." When Chun Tai spoke halfway, he lost the desire to continue. "I understand. When they arrive, I'll go and talk to that kid." Chun Tai's subordinates understood the gist of the situation from his words. The next day, Zhou Wu recovered some of his immortal energy. Although he couldn't display 100% of his strength, he didn't feel empty or weak anymore. He still held a grudge against Jiang Chun for ruining their chance to deal with the Wolfhead mercenary group. Not only would it be less likely for Jiang Chun to kill them in the future, but Jiang Chun would also be aware of what he had done. Zhou Wu made up his mind. If there was a next time, he would definitely teach Jiang Chun a lesson. No matter how high one's cultivation base was, they couldn't disobey his orders in the mercenary group. Otherwise, once Jiang Chun established his position in the mercenary group, it was possible for him to topple him. 2,000 meters to the left, there's a 5th-level divine, immortal wood-attributed savage beast. It should have just broken through, so I don't know if it meets the requirements. Jiang Chun walked beside the group with his hands behind his back. He said faintly when he sensed the savage beast's energy fluctuation, "Are you sure?" Zhou Wu's expression turned serious. "I'm sure," Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. "Brothers, we've found the savage beast. If we can kill it successfully, everyone who survives will get 100 million immortal jades." Zhou Wu looked at the remaining 30 to 40 people and shouted at them in a low voice. Of the 30 to 40 people, only 10 or so would be able to return alive. In fact, among these 10 people, most of them would definitely be heavily injured. Although he talked big, he only had to pay 3 billion immortal jades in the end. In exchange, the 30 to 40 people would charge forward and risk their lives for him. "Let's go." Under Zhou Wu's lead, dozens of people moved to the left. About an hour later, everyone could clearly see a dark green, ferocious beast gnawing on the withered grass and rotten leaves on the ground. Sure enough, Brother Jiang Chun, I'm afraid that your perception is not even comparable to some immortal venerables. Seeing the situation in front of him, Zhou Wu completely forgot the fear in his heart. His mind was full of thoughts that as long as he could complete this task, he could at least earn 2 billion immortal jades. As for the few 100 million immortal jades that he would give to Jiang Chun, he could bargain for a lower price later. Leader Zhou, you're praising me too much, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Brother Jiang Chun, you have the highest cultivation base in the mercenary group except for me. What do you think we should do to kill it? Zhou Wu stared at the savage in front of him and asked. I don't have a plan. Just go ahead. Jiang Chun shook his head. If he exerted all his strength, he could seriously injure this savage beast with just a wave of his immortal force. There was no need for a plan or cooperation. Well, let's just go ahead. Zhou Wu gritted his teeth. Taking advantage of the savage beast lowering its head to eat grass, he directly rushed up with the broadsword in his hand. At this moment, Jiang Chun did not hesitate. His figure flickered and directly appeared behind the savage beast. The palm that contained the ice will suddenly slammed into its butt. Roar! After being hit, the savage beast was immediately enraged. It spat out the leaves in its mouth and looked up to see Zhou Wu rushing towards it. After looking at the savage beast, Zhou Wu felt his heart turn cold. He stopped in time and quickly dodged to the side. Chi! The moment he left the place, a sharp wooden thorn drilled out of the ground. Don't just stand there. Let's attack together. After taking 2 deep breaths and seeing that Jiang Chun had already launched a series of attacks on the savage beast, he quickly turned his head and shouted to his men behind him. 30 to 40 people rushed up together and used all their skills. Compared to them, Jiang Chun was very relaxed. He deliberately held back every time he attacked. Not only could he cause some damage to the savage beast, but it was also not so powerful that it would kill it instantly. On the other hand, Zhou was having a hard time. His cultivation base was very weak. His strength was no different from an ordinary 3rd-level Immortal Realm cultivator. Facing a 5th-level Immortal Savage beast with rough skin and thick flesh, it was almost impossible for him to win. The only thing he could do was to attract the savage beast's attention as much as possible so that Jiang Chun and his men could find its weakness. Chapter 1965. However, apart from Jiang Chun, those ordinary subordinates couldn't pose any threat to the beast. Their fancy and powerful immortal techniques couldn't even scratch the beast's skin, let alone inflict any internal injuries. Brother Jiang Chun, are you still holding back? Chun Wu shouted at Jiang Chun when he realized that he couldn't hold back the beast any longer. Although he didn't know Jiang Chun and couldn't sense Jiang Chen's exact condition, he knew that Jiang Chen's cultivation base was at the 5th level of the Immortal Realm, while his true strength was at the 3rd level of the Immortal Realm. Logically speaking, Jiang Chun should be stronger than him. However, Jiang Chen's current performance was even weaker than his. Commander Zhou, I've already done my best. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly and pretended to wipe the cold sweat off his forehead. AI. Zhou Wu sighed heavily. He couldn't stop the fierce beasts, and he knew Jiang Chun wasn't as strong as he had thought, so he decided to use his trump card. Otherwise, he and his subordinates would probably die here that day. Zhou Wu retreated a few steps and tore open his outer clothes. There was a faintly circulating rune on his chest. Opens. Without hesitation, he pressed his palm on the rune. As he spoke, his chi rose rapidly, reaching the half-step immortal venerable realm in just a blink of an eye. Even his body had become a little more muscular. His strength has increased so much. It doesn't seem to be an ordinary immortal technique. Jiang Chun was slightly surprised by the increase in Zhou Wu's strength. But so what? It was still too weak compared to his cultivation base of the 1st level of the immortal venerable realm. After the increase in his strength, Zhou Wu picked up his broadsword and charged at the beast once more. This time, with the help of Jiang Chun, the two of them had the intention of suppressing the beast. Meanwhile, the subordinates were pouring more immortal force into the beast. They all knew, although the group leader's secret technique could greatly increase his strength in a short period of time, it could only last for less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn. After that time, his body would become extremely weak and he would need someone to carry him down the mountain. Brother Jiang Chun, I only have 15 minutes. Don't hold back anymore. Let's end this quickly. Zhou Wu waved the broadsword in his hand and chopped down heavily on the beast's head. After his strength had increased, this attack directly sank into the beast's head. Roar! After feeling the pain, the beast was completely enraged. As the blood flowed down from the top of its head, it suddenly grabbed forward. At this time, Zhou had just finished releasing his move. His whole body was a little stiff as he stopped in midair. He could only watch as the giant hand grabbed him. Captain Zhou, be careful. Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and released a small extreme ice domain around him. As the beast's speed slowed down, Zhou Wu managed to dodge it. He did not have time to thank Jiangchen. Once again, he lifted his broadsword and slashed at the beast's thigh. Pa! This time, the beast reacted. The broadsword had not yet cut its thigh. It suddenly lifted its leg and kicked forward. Zhou Wu could not react in time and was hit hard in the chest by the kick. Captain, seeing this scene, many of his subordinates shouted out loudly. Bang! Zhou Wu flew backward for more than 10 meters and fell on a tree trunk before he stopped. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Zhou Wu endured the pain in his chest and rushed forward again. For 15 minutes, he and Jiang Chun kept attacking the beast. Although the beast was injured, it did not lose its ability to fight. Every time it resisted, at least a few of its subordinates were killed. Under the continuous attacks, the immortal power in Zhou Wu's body was declared exhausted. The duration of the secret technique was about to end. However, the beast in front of him did not suffer any fatal injuries. Damn it, let's fight. Zhou Wu took a deep breath. He knew that once the secret technique ended, it would be a dead end. With the cultivation that Jiangchen had shown, it was absolutely impossible for him to stop the beast. Their group would definitely die in the wild forest. He gathered all the remaining immortal power in his body and prepared to launch the final attack. However, before he could mobilize his immortal power, a sense of weakness suddenly spread throughout his body. Immediately after, a sharp pain attacked him. He knelt on the ground uncontrollably and gasped for breath. It's over. Zhou Wu's vision turned black. He knew that the secret technique's duration was over. Seeing the beast lift its leg and charge at him with a powerful aura, Zhou Wu wanted to dodge, but there was no way for him to do so. His body was so weak that he did not even have the strength to lift his arm. He could only watch as the huge hoof grew bigger and bigger in front of him. Boom! Just as he was about to close his eyes and wait for death, a wail rang out. The beast fell to the ground with a loud bang. Captain Zhou, are you injured? Jiangchen quickly ran over and asked. I'm fine. My body is too weak after using the secret technique. I thought I was going to die here. I didn't expect you to be able to kill him. Looking at the dead beast beside him, Zhou Wu's body directly went limp. He was only a moment away from death. If Jiangchen was just a little bit slower, he would have died without a doubt. Fortunately, Captain Zhou is strong. Otherwise, I might not have been able to kill him. Jiangchen clasped his fists and said, It's just a matter of a moment. Zhou Wu was somewhat embarrassed by Jiangchen's praise. In the mercenary town, everyone knew that he was an immortal, venerable expert and the strongest captain among the hundreds of mercenary groups. However, only his subordinates knew that his immortal, venerable realm was fake. Even after using the secret technique, he could only reach the strength of a half-step immortal venerable. However, a half-step immortal venerable was still worthy of being called an immortal venerable. Captain Zhou, the beast is dead. Can we go back now? Jiangchen looked into the depths of the forest. He could vaguely feel that there was an even stronger beast in the forest. That kind of strength was something that even he might not be able to deal with. Let's go. Help me up. Let's go back. Zhou Wu struggled to stand up. When he saw Jiangchen looking into the depths of the forest, he hastily advised, Brother Jiangchen, this is our limit. If we continue to go deeper, I'm afraid we won't even have a corpse left. All right. Jiangchen reached out and pulled him up. Brothers, hold on a little longer. After we bring the beast back, we will rest for a month. In addition, I will recruit some new members. Zhou Wu clenched his fist and said while looking at the dozen of them who were still able to stand up. This time, they entered the desolate forest. The harvest was huge. 2 divine immortal beasts and 1 heavenly immortal beast. Chapter 1966. The price he had to pay was equally high. His divine immortal realm subordinates had died here, and the other ordinary disciples had also lost hundreds of people. Among this group of people, there were many who had followed him for decades. Of course, there were also some who had just joined the mercenary group not long ago. If he wanted to replenish all of them, he was afraid that it would take at least 10 years or so. Under the lead of Jiang Chun and Zhou Wu, the group of people left the desolate forest. At this time, the mercenary town was already in an uproar. They continuously looked at the fierce beasts brought back by the Beast Slayer mercenary group. 2 divine immortal realm fierce beasts. What's going on? Could it be that they have just recruited a divine immortal realm expert? That's hard to say. Seeing Zhou Wu leading people into the manor, the mercenaries in the town all looked at them with envy. They knew that this group of people would at least get 50 million immortal jades. This was an amount that made them very envious. Brother Jiangchen, did you see that? This is the strength of our Beast Slayer mercenary group. In the entire mercenary town, we are the strongest. Wait until you go out with me a few more times, then I will promote you to vice leader. At that time, you will be the same as me, receiving their respect. All right, wait for me to go back and rest for a while, then I will find you 2 clean women and let you have some fun. Hearing the voices around him, Zhou Wu said proudly, I'm not interested. Jiang Chen shook his head and said, he already had Bai Feng Yu, Xin Yu, and the others, so he was not interested in other women. As for those mediocre women, Jiang Chen really didn't care about them. It can't be. Can it be that you can't do that? Zhou Wu looked at Jiang Chen with some surprise. He had never heard of such a thing. Almost every man in this town would go there as long as they had money. A mercenary group leader like him would find 3 or 4 women to keep in the manor for his pleasure. You can say that. Jiang Chen was too lazy to explain anything, so he went along with his words. Unexpectedly, the way Zhou Wu looked at Jiang Chen suddenly became much more pitiful. He sighed heavily and said, Brother, then you really can experience the joy of life. With your strength, if you don't have that kind of ability, it's really a pity. Yes, Jiang Chen nodded. As they spoke, everyone returned to the manor. The 3 ferocious beasts were all placed in the manor, and many people stood outside to watch. Among the hundreds of mercenary groups in Mercenary Town, at most, only 5 mercenary groups could kill immortal realm ferocious beasts. As for the Beast Slayer mercenary group, they were probably the only mercenary group that could hunt 2 at a time. Lock them all up at the back of the manor and guard them strictly. Also, inform the buyer that we have already done what they asked us to do. Tell them to bring the immortal jades here. We will exchange the money and the goods at the same time. Even though Zhou Wu's injuries were very serious, he still forced himself to speak as he looked at the people surrounding him. Yes, Commander, everyone shouted in unison. Then they hurriedly carried the ferocious beasts inside. Looking at their actions, Zhou Wu's face suddenly darkened, and he immediately walked into the manor. Jiang Chen lifted his foot and followed behind him. The moment he walked into a room, Zhou Wu instantly relaxed. He sat on the ground limply, blood kept flowing out of his mouth, and his aura immediately withered. Brother Jiang Chen, I suffered a backlash from the secret technique, and I'm also seriously injured. I'm afraid I won't be able to leave this room in a short time. In the past, Su Li was the one who guarded the mercenary group for me. Now that he's dead, this responsibility can only be handed over to you. Seeing Jiang Chen come in, Zhou Wu gasped for breath. He tried his best to stand up, but as soon as his hands touched the ground, he fell down before he could exert any strength. Commander Zhou, you should rest quickly, Jiang Chen hurried to say when he saw him looking like he could die at any moment. You go out first. When the buyer comes, you can communicate with them. Zhou Wu nodded. Although Jiang Chen had just joined the mercenary group, he really didn't know who to give the authority to except for Jiang Chen. If he gave the authority to his subordinates who were only true immortals, he was afraid that he would be bullied to death by the other mercenary groups in the town, while he was recuperating. Jiang Chun didn't say anything, pushed the door open, and walked out. At the door, there were already many mercenaries standing there. "Brother Jiang Chun, how is the commander? Brother Jiang Chun, why didn't Brother Suli come back?" When these people saw Jiang Chun, they all asked at the same time. When Suli was in the wild forest, he was killed by the ferocious beasts. The commander is also injured and needs time to recover. During this time, I will be managing the Beast Slayer mercenary group. If any of you have any questions, you can ask Commander Zhou Wu. Jiang Chun glanced at them, threw a sentence, and left in front of them. This group of people looked at Jiang Chun's back. No one doubted his words. They could feel Zhou Wu's injury, and Jiang Chun was now the strongest person in the mercenary group. Even if he was lying, they wouldn't dare to doubt him. Mercenary Town. It was a place where strength was respected. Whoever had a strong cultivation would be the king here. Whoever had a weak cultivation would be at the bottom, and even have the risk of being killed at any time. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Jiang Chun had been staying in the manor. After listening to the mercenaries who reported to him, Jiang Chun would ask them openly and secretly about the situation in the wild forest. But the situation they knew was almost useless. "Brother Jiang Chun, the buyer is here." A disciple walked into the room and said to Jiang Chun, "Let him come in." Jiang Chun nodded. Then, under the disciple's lead, a man holding a horse-tail whisk walked in. "Jiang Chun, Great Elder Heartless Qingzi?" She and Jiang Chun were both struck dumb when they saw the people coming in. The person in front of them was none other than Heartless Qingzi, the Great Elder of Love Despair Valley. "Jiang, no, young master. Why are you here?" Heartless Qingzi seemed to be in disbelief. Now that Love Despair Valley had joined the 10,000 Mounts front sect, she naturally had to change the way she addressed him. But she didn't understand why the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, the Pavilion Master of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, and the Alliance Master of the Overseas Immortal Mountain Alliance would appear in Mercenary Town and look like the leader of the mercenary group. "It's a long story, Elder Heartless Qingzi. It's better not to ask." After Jiang Chun recovered, he asked lightly, "Doesn't Love Despair Valley practice ice attribute cultivation techniques? Why do you need the inner core of a wood attribute beast?" "Sect Master wants to give you a sword, which requires the inner core of a wood attribute beast above the 5th level of the immortal realm," Heartless Qingzi said. Chapter 1967. "Give me a sword?" Jiang Chun was a little surprised. He remembered that he rarely received gifts from others in his 10 reincarnations. "Yes, the sect master has been very grateful to you for what happened some time ago." But she didn't say anything. Heartless Qingzi nodded and said, "She said that she saw that you didn't have a good weapon and that you were using immortal qi, so she wanted to give you a weapon. Can your sect take out so many immortal jades?" Jiang Chun hurriedly asked. He remembered that in order to buy elixirs for himself, they almost cleaned out the entire Love Valley. "The humble sect sent a lot of immortal jades, enough for us," Heartless Qingzi said honestly. "Well, in that case, I'll wait for the weapon." Jiang Chun didn't continue to ask. He couldn't refuse Wang Min's kind intentions. "Young master, have you decided to be a mercenary here in the future?" Heartless Qingzi looked at Jiang Chun. She felt that Jiang Chun seemed to be shrouded in a layer of fog, and she couldn't see through him at all. "I'm here to investigate something, and it has nothing to do with you. I'll go back when the investigation is out." "Great Elder Heartless Qingzi, I hope you won't tell anyone about this when you go back. Not even Wang Min, okay?" Jiang Chun took a deep breath and said slowly, "Young master, don't worry, I won't tell anyone." Heartless Qingzi flicked the horse-tail whisk in his hand and said, "Well, go ahead." Jiang Chun nodded and said, "Young master, these are the Immortal Jade's promissory notes. I've asked the disciples to leave with the beast." Heartless Qingzi took a few steps forward and put some notes on the table next to Jiang Chun. Then he bowed and cupped his hands before his chest. He saluted Jiang Chun and walked out quickly. After a while, Jiang Chun saw the people of Love Valley leaving with the beast. After exhaling a mouthful of foul air, Jiang Chun prepared to go into seclusion for a few days and comprehend the sword arts within the Vermilion Bird Talisman sword. Although it required a special imprint, it didn't mean that he couldn't cultivate it without it. Big brother Jiang Chun, the wolf head mercenaries are here. Just as Jiang Chun was about to leave, a mercenary hurriedly ran in. Wolf head mercenary group? Don't they have a grudge with us? Jiang Chun frowned slightly as he recalled what Zhou Wu had said to him in the wild forest. They said that they know that Captain Zhou Wu is injured. They are also part of the top mercenary group in Mercenary Town, so they want to visit him. The mercenary continued, Big brother Jiang Chun, why don't you just give the order to kill them? Let them in. Jiang Chun waved his hand and said, I'm still curious. How did they know that Captain Zhou Wu was seriously injured? They have spies in our mercenary group. The mercenary answered Jiang Chun's question directly. This was already a publicly known secret in Mercenary Town. Take their Beast Slayer mercenary group as an example. Hundreds of mercenary groups in several mercenary towns had their own informants. These informants would report the situation of each mercenary group to them. They would also secretly take action and ruin their businesses. Let them in? Jiang Chun waved his hand and said. With Jiang Chun's order, the mercenary immediately ran towards the entrance of the manor. A moment later, Chun Tai came in with a few subordinates. They were even using bamboo poles to carry a few boxes. Brother Jiang Chun, long time no see. As soon as Chun Tai entered the room, he saw Jiang Chun sitting inside. He walked over quickly and cupped his hands at Jiang Chun, who was sitting inside. Captain Chun Tai, the relationship between our two mercenary groups isn't that good. If you walk in so openly, I'm afraid that others will misunderstand. Jiang Chun looked at him and said with a frown, Grudges aside, we still have to walk around. Brother Jiang Chun, thank you for showing mercy that day in the desolate forest. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we would have died in there. After his subordinates put down the boxes, Chun Tai waved his hand and asked them to leave. No need to thank me. I just don't want to interfere in your matters. Jiang Chun smiled faintly. I can see that brother Jiang Chun is a very principled cultivator. But it's a pity that you're staying in the Beast Slayer mercenary group. Chun Tai still had a smile on his face. When he came, he had already thought of all the things that he should say and shouldn't say. He even came up with different responses to Jiang Chun's question, even considering how Jiang Chun would answer him. Oh, why? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. Brother Jiang Chun is so principled, but Zhou Wu and his Beast Slayer mercenary group are unprincipled. In the past 100 years, who knows how many methods they used openly and secretly to get rid of the opponents that threatened them in Mercenary Town. You should know this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to make a move against me in the wild forest. Seeing that Jiang Chun didn't refute immediately, Chun Tai felt that there was hope and quickly continued. It should be. Jiang Chun nodded and said, Then brother Jiang Chun, why don't you join our wolf head mercenary group? We have been a mercenary group for hundreds of years before Zhou Wu came here. Although our strength is not as good as them, we are still ranked in the top 10 in all the towns. As long as you join, I will immediately give you the position of vice captain. In the future, we will be on equal footing. As for the immortal jades, you get 60% and I get 40%. How about it? Chun Tai was ready to strike while the iron was hot and take down Jiang Chun in one fell swoop. Forget it. I'm not interested. Jiang Chun waved his hand and said, Don't, brother Jiang Chun. As long as you join our wolf head mercenary group, we will do whatever you say. Chun Tai was a little flustered. After hearing his words, Jiang Chun originally wanted to chase him out, but suddenly had a new idea. Are you sure? Jiang Chun raised his head and looked at him as he asked. Of course, as long as I can do it, brother Jiang Chun. Just say the word and I will do it. Chun Tai patted his chest, and a smile appeared on his face once again. I wonder if Captain Chun Tai has heard of the Vermilion Bird tribe? Jiang Chun smiled and waved his hand to close the door of the hall. Soon after, he asked indifferently, Vermilion Bird tribe? After hearing Jiang Chun's words, the smile on Chun Tai's face quickly disappeared. Soon after, he fell into deep thought. Jiang Chun waited for a while and said, Since Captain Chun Tai doesn't want to talk about it, please leave. I will talk. Brother Jiang Chun, I will talk. Chun Tai clenched his teeth and hurriedly said when he saw that Jiang Chun was about to chase him out. Then say it. I'm listening. Jiang Chen nodded and said, Brother Jiang Chen, I have only heard of the Vermilion Bird tribe and have never met one. It is said that hundreds of thousands of years ago, this spiritual beast tribe was second to none in the entire immortal realm. Chapter 1968. And then, Jiang Chen was not interested in listening to this nonsense. Then it is said that they disappeared into the wild forest. It seems that there are still remnants of their clan in the deepest part of the forest. However, the wild forest is so huge that even immortal kings cannot enter it easily. It is said that it is adjacent to an unknown territory. Although we have lived here for hundreds of years, we have never heard of anyone seeing anything about the Vermilion Bird clan. It is more like a rumor. After a short pause, Chen Tai told Zhang Xian everything he knew. Is that all you know? Jiang Chen asked with a slight frown. This information was almost the same as not saying anything. Jiang Chen also knew about it. Yes, I don't know anything else. Chen Tai said with a bitter smile. Brother Jiang Chen, you think too highly of me. I'm just a divine, immortal realm wandering cultivator. As for the Vermilion Bird clan, it was said that they dominated a region in the immortal realm in the past, and they had many immortal king experts. So, how could I know anything about them? All right, since that is the case, you can go back first. Jiang Chen nodded. He knew that it would be difficult to get information about the Vermilion Bird clan from him. He would have to start with Zhou Wu. He recalled Zhou Wu's reaction when he mentioned the Vermilion Bird clan. Jiang Chen was sure that Zhou Wu definitely knew something that others did not. Brother Jiang Chen, when will you join our wolf-head mercenary group? Chen Tai stood up and asked. Let me think about it. You can go back first. Don't come back again. Jiang Chen waved his hand at him. All right, Brother Jiang Chen, you must think about it. Our wolf-head mercenary group welcomes you at any time. Chen Tai rubbed his hands awkwardly. I will think about it. Jiang Chen nodded and said. Since Jiang Chen had said so, Chen Tai didn't have anything else to say. He cupped his hands at Jiang Chen several times before he turned around and walked out of the manor. Looking at him, Jiang Chen could not help but sigh. It was almost impossible to obtain any information about the Vermilion Bird clan from these people. Even if Zhou Wu knew something, it was probably not what he wanted to know, unless he personally went to the desolate forest to investigate. However, Jiang Chen didn't really want to go in since he wasn't familiar with the forest at all. After much consideration, he decided that he could only rest in Mercenary Town for now. Fortunately, he had nothing to do in the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect. Bai Xianling had also returned to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. However, Jiang Chen didn't expect that trouble would come knocking on his door just a few days after replacing Zhou Wu to manage the mercenary group. Jiang Chen was comprehending swordsmanship in his room. He was woken up by the noise coming from outside. What's the situation? Jiang Chen frowned as he pushed the door open. The situation of being interrupted made him frown. He was extremely unhappy. Brother Jiang Chen, a few mercenary groups have joined forces to look for trouble. They said that they have been oppressed by us and want to seek an explanation. Seeing that Jiang Chen had come out, these mercenaries had some confidence. They dare to come when I'm not here? Jiang Chen raised his head and asked as he looked at the crowd outside the manor. They dare not. They knew that leader Zhou Wu was seriously injured, so they dared to look for trouble. The mercenary shook his head and said, in the past, when Zhou Wu was here, this group of people never dared to look for trouble. Now that Zhou Wu was injured, there was only one divine celestial expert in the mercenary group, Jiang Chen. Although they were not weak, there were divine celestial experts in the mercenary group. Therefore, they gathered together when they heard the news. Everyone knew that as long as they could get rid of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, they would be able to get a share of Zhou Wu's business and would not be oppressed in the future. Therefore, when Zhou Wu was injured and only Jiang Chen was in the manor, it was the best time for them to take action. Let's go and take a look. Jiang Chen smiled. He had been in the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect for a long time. Those who came to look for trouble were basically immortal kings, or at least immortal monarchs. Now, there was a group of people who had not reached the immortal realm who wanted to find trouble with him. Jiang Chen did not feel any pressure. Instead, he found it very interesting. Walking to the entrance of the manor, Jiang Chun saw this group of people. "You are Jiang Chun, right?" After seeing Jiang Chun, these people pointed at his nose and asked, "That's right, I am Jiang Chun." Jiang Chun nodded and said, "If you want to make trouble for me, you'd better wait until Commander Zhou recovers. I'm not interested in you at all." "Huh? Is this person an idiot? We came when Zhou Wu was seriously injured. Who would dare to come when Zhou Wu recovers from his injuries?" Jiang Chen's words made them laugh. "Boy, you'd better surrender obediently. Don't be fooled by your cultivation at the 5th level of the immortal realm. With all of us together, you will die." One of them, who was at the 4th level of the immortal realm, pointed at Jiang Chun and said loudly, "Who are you?" Jiang Chun looked at him. "The leader of the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group, Sun Tianlang." That person said loudly, "Brother Jiang Chun, what should we do?" The subordinate stood beside Jiang Chun and said anxiously, "Now that leader Zhou Wu is seriously injured and you are no match for them, the end of our Beast Slayer mercenary group is coming. Since you want to settle the score, I will play with you. Each mercenary group will send their strongest to fight with me. If anyone can hurt me, I will give them 1 billion immortal jades. If they can't hurt me, they will answer my question. How about it?" Jiang Chun ignored his subordinate and continued to look at the people outside the manor with a smile. 1 billion? The mercenaries were not the only ones who were dumbfounded. Even the Beast Slayer mercenary group did not know what Jiang Chun was doing. There were at least 20 mercenary groups outside the manor. Even if their cultivation was not as good as Jiang Chun's, they would be able to severely injure Jiang Chun if they took turns to fight him. 1 billion immortal jades? Are you sure? Sun Tianlong's eyes lit up. This was much better than directly attacking the Beast Slayer mercenary group. They knew that even if they defeated the Beast Slayer mercenary group, each mercenary group would only get a few tens of millions of immortal jades. However, Jiang Chun offered 1 billion immortal jades. Some of them had never seen so much money in their lives. "Of course, I will keep my word," Jiang Chun said with a smile. "All right, since you said so, let's have a fight. But if you renege on your debt, not only will the Beast Slayer mercenary group disappear from the mercenary town, even your life will be in danger." Under the temptation of 1 billion immortal jades, the group of people's eyes lit up. Chapter 1969. "Let them come in." Seeing them so excited, Jiang Chun said to his subordinates, "Let's go." "Big brother Jiang Chun, I'm afraid you're no match for them with your strength. Besides, we don't have billions of immortal jades to give them." The men were dumbfounded. They didn't know why Jiang Chun agreed. "Listen to me," Jiang Chun said faintly. After this group of people entered the manor, more and more people rushed in from outside. They all knew about Jiang Chun's arena, and they all wanted to see why Jiang Chun was so confident. He would get 1 billion immortal jades for each loss. This was the best deal in the whole immortal realm. "Who's the leader?" Jiang Chun stood on the open space of the manor and glanced at them. "Me, brat. I'll be the one to defeat you today. However, if you keep your word, I can spare your life. However, if you don't hand over the 1 billion immortal jades, we'll attack together and kill you." Sun Tianlang stood out from the crowd and shouted while pointing at Jiang Chun. "Cut the crap," Jiang Chun said. Outside the manor, Chintai also stood among the crowd and looked at Jiang Chun. He wanted to eliminate the Beast Slayer mercenary group, but he was afraid of offending Jiang Chun. So he decided to wait and see. If Jiang Chun was really in danger, he would take action. Not only could he save Jiang Chun, but he could also make him owe him a favor. "Boy, I hope you can still be so stubborn when I beat you to the ground later." Sun Tianlong's expression was ugly when he was looked down upon by Jiang Chun in front of so many people. He walked directly to Jiang Chun and clenched his fist. Suddenly, his cultivation of 4th layer immortal realm was revealed. As his aura was released, his cultivation also rose. After a while, it finally stopped at 7th layer immortal realm. Damn, his real strength is at 7th layer immortal realm. He's probably the strongest person in Mercenary Town, second only to Zhou Wu. Zhou Wu isn't as strong as him. Although he's an immortal venerable, his strength is too weak. If they really fight, I guess it'll be a draw. I'm afraid that Kid Jiang-chun is going to be in trouble. A 5th-stage immortal cultivator fighting a 7th-stage immortal cultivator. TSK. There's almost no chance of winning. After sensing his strength, many people began to speak one after another. Kid, kneel down and beg for mercy now. Give me 1 billion immortal jades and I'll consider letting you live. Otherwise, I'll destroy you and the Beast Slayer mercenary group today. Sun Tianlang looked at Jiang Chun in disdain when he felt the immortal energy filling his body. You want to take the immortal jade from my hands? I'm afraid you don't have the strength to do so. Jiang Chun shook his head and smiled. His hands were clasped behind his back, showing no intention of making a move. Looks like you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Sun Tianlong's eyes turned cold. After attaching his hands with rich, immortal energy, he rushed toward Jiang Chun. The moment his figure moved, a bark-like substance was attached to his skin. What kind of technique is this? Jiang Chun couldn't help but sneer. This is a wood attribute immortal technique. With your knowledge, I'm afraid you're not qualified to come in contact with it. Sun Tianlang seemed to be very confident in his immortal technique. Wood attribute? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. As soon as his voice fell, the beginning of all beginnings circulated wildly in his body. As Sun Tianlang rapidly approached him, his clenched fists gradually transformed into trees and bombarded him with power. The wood attribute immortal energy in his body suddenly disappeared rapidly. The tree bark attached to his body and the immortal energy gathered in his fists were also quickly drained away. Bang! It was just a kick. Jiang Chun kicked him directly in the chest. After taking the blow, Sun Tianlang was immediately sent flying. His whole body flew back more than 10 meters and finally fell hard on the manor's gate. It was just a kick that caused his momentum to dissipate instantly. He stared at Jiang Chun with red eyes, but he couldn't understand why the immortal energy in his body disappeared so quickly, as if it was being sucked away. This was a situation he had never encountered before. Leader Sun, what's wrong? Under everyone's gaze, Jiang Chun slowly walked in front of him and asked, You're playing dirty. After thinking about it, Sun Tianlang was sure that it was Jiang Chun's doing. Otherwise, why would the immortal energy in his body disappear? What's dirty? Jiang Chun smiled. He raised his foot and stepped on his face directly, crushing it while he was at it. He said, Leader Sun, it's not that easy to get the immortal jade from me. Sun Tianlang didn't even have the ability to resist being stepped on by Jiang Chun on the ground. Jiang Chun, let go of me if you have the guts. Seeing that many people were looking at him, Sun Tianlang gritted his teeth and said to Jiang Chun, Bang! Jiang Chun had just let go of his foot. He directly kicked him in the chest. This kick directly knocked him out. How ruthless! A 7th-stage immortal was treated like this in front of him? After seeing this scene, many people covered their mouths in disgust. In their imagination, Jiang Chun should have been seriously injured by Sun Tianlang after resisting, but they didn't expect that Sun Tianlang would be so vulnerable in front of Jiang Chun. Although this was because the immortal energy in Sun Tianlong's body suddenly disappeared, they were not fools and naturally knew that Jiang Chun had secretly done something. Anyone else? Jiang Chun glanced at the group of people standing in front of him and asked indifferently, The two of us cultivate the same celestial technique, and we've been cultivating together since birth. Only when the two of us attack together will we be able to unleash 100% of our strength. You won't refuse, right? Two people stood up at the same time. Just when everyone was scolding them for being shameless, Jiang Chun agreed. 2 3rd-stage immortals against a 5th-stage immortal. Everyone knew that there was almost no possibility of losing. Even if Jiang Chun had some skills, it was not enough to deal with 2 people at the same time. Big brother Jiang Chun, one of the Beast Slayer mercenary group's men, stepped forward and said, You may leave. Jiang Chun said indifferently. After receiving Jiang Chun's permission, the two of them performed their immortal techniques at the same time. A light curtain poured down from the sky, enveloping them and Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun clearly felt that the immortal energy in his body was blocked to a certain extent. 2 billion immortal jades. The two of them spoke at the same time. Tell me your identity. I, Jiangchen, don't kill nameless people. Looking at them, Jiangchen put one hand behind his back, and the other hand pulled out the talisman wooden sword from his back. Heavenly Wolf Mercenary Group, Sun Yuan. Heavenly Wolf Mercenary Group, Sun Bao. The two of them said, So you're here to avenge Sun Tianlang. Jiangchen raised his eyebrows and looked at Sun Tianlang, who was like a dead dog. Chapter 1970. Three Divine Immortal Realm Experts. Their strength was slightly higher than the Beast Slayer Mercenary Group. If it weren't for Zhou Wu, a fake celestial venerable expert, they wouldn't have been a match for the Heavenly Wolf Mercenary Group. We're here for revenge. The two of them didn't try to hide their intentions. All right, let me see what you're capable of, Jiangchen said as he held his sword with one hand. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them rushed up from the left and right. They each held a long white stick with extremely dense light attribute, celestial force circulating around it. Seeing that they were about to reach him, Jiangchen circulated the light attribute, celestial force in his body, and infused it into the talisman wooden sword. The originally ordinary wooden sword suddenly emitted a strong light. Light attribute? The two of them were surprised when they sensed the fluctuation of Jiangchen's celestial force. When their leader fought with Jiangchen earlier, he clearly sensed that the celestial force in his body was of the wood attribute. Now, they sensed that Jiangchen's celestial force had changed to the light attribute. Although they knew there were some talented practitioners who could have immortal power of many different attributes in their bodies at the same time, they could not accept the fact that Jiangchen's cultivation level was almost the same as theirs. However, despite their surprise, they weren't afraid at all. They had cultivated together since they were young and cultivated the same celestial technique. Although their cultivation was only at the third level of the divine immortal realm, when they joined forces, even a 7th-level divine immortal realm expert would be wary. In the past, they had fought with Sun Tianlang when they were in the mercenary group. Now that they were facing Jiangchen, they were even more confident. Blade of Driving Light. Jiangchen didn't underestimate his opponent. When the talisman wooden sword was filled with light attribute celestial force, he spoke softly. At this moment, the talisman wooden sword was completely different from before. The sword grew longer and was shrouded in light. Divine Sword Technique. Sun Yuan and Sun Bao rushed to Jiangchen's left and right at almost the same time. Two sharp sword chi suddenly appeared and slashed toward Jiangchen. They were certain that Jiangchen had used his trump card in the formation. Even if he couldn't kill Jiangchen, he would at least be seriously injured. At that time, he would be able to get 2 billion immortal jades and avenge Sun Tianlang. The name is quite domineering. Unfortunately, it's too bad. Jiangchen shook his head. When the sword chi was coming towards him, the light driving blade in his hand suddenly split into two long swords, and under the control of his mind, he faced the enemy head-on. Their sword techniques, in front of the Jade Sword Sect's mastery of 10,000 swords, could not even withstand a single blow. As soon as they came into contact with each other, the two sword chis quickly dissipated. However, the long sword did not stop and continued to pierce forward. Puchi. The long swords pierced their chests. Sun Yuan and Sun Bao didn't even have the chance to react before they were hit. The two of them widened their eyes. First, they looked at the long sword in their chests. Then, they raised their heads in disbelief and looked at Jiangchen. They didn't even know how Jiangchen did it. The formation slowly dissipated. The people outside could finally see the situation. How can this be? Even Sun Yuan and Sun Bao together couldn't injure him. After seeing the situation inside, everyone was shocked. Good job. On the contrary, the people in the Beast Slayer mercenary group were shouting excitedly. Previously, they were sweating for Jiangchen, thinking that today was the end of the mercenary group. But now, the strength that Jiangchen displayed made them feel confident. Even if Zhou Wu's injuries could not recover, they knew that as long as Jiangchen was here, the Beast Slayer mercenary group would not have any problems. A mercenary group was not like an ordinary family or sect. They had no intention of being loyal to Zhou. They just wanted to follow Zhou and earn more immortal jades. Now that Jiang Qin's strength was not weaker than his, they were naturally happy. As for whether Zhou could recover or not, it didn't affect them. Who else wants to try? Jiang Qin's finger moved, and the two long swords were pulled out from their bodies and merged together. After the light dissipated, they turned back into a wooden sword and stuck to Jiang Qin's back. This time, no one dared to step forward. If Jiang Qin had promised Sun Tianling before, they still had some thoughts in their hearts. But now, Sun Yuan and Sun Bao couldn't injure Jiang Qin at all, which made them completely lose interest. They all knew that they couldn't be Jiang Qin's opponent. If they forced themselves to go forward, they would only end up with injuries. Since there's no one else, then get out of here. If anyone dares to cause trouble in the future, you'll have to fight with me first. Glancing at the group of people, Jiang Qin said indifferently. Hearing Jiang Qin's words, they immediately left. Why don't we try again? Try my ass. Look at how relaxed he is. I'm afraid his true strength is already at the immortal venerable level. If we attack again, we'll lose our lives. As they left, there were also people who were talking nonstop. After they left, only the people from the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group were still standing inside. Take your people and get out of here. But when Sun Tianling wakes up, tell him that I'll visit your mercenary group in a few days. Looking at these trembling, ordinary mercenaries, Jiang Qin didn't have any intention of attacking them. He just waved his hand and said. They didn't dare to delay and immediately lifted Sun Tianling, Sun Yuan, and Sun Bao, who were lying on the ground, and quickly left the manor. The people outside the manor were still craning their necks to watch. In the hall, many people were squeezed inside. Brother Jiang Qin is really powerful. After today, your name will spread throughout Mercenary Town. I'm afraid no one will dare to cause trouble in the future. Yeah, I'm afraid that Brother Jiang Qin's strength is even higher than Leader Zhou Wu's. This group of people praised Jiang Qin. In their hearts, they even regarded Jiang Qin as more important than Zhou Wu. After all, when people came to cause trouble, Zhou Wu had a hard time dealing with some immortal venerable cultivators. He wasn't as relaxed as Jiang Qin. Go do what you're supposed to do. Listening to their praises, Jiang Qin's expression didn't change. Brother Jiang Qin, I think you should replace Leader Zhou Wu and become the new leader of our Beast Slayer mercenary group. Just as some people were about to leave, a voice suddenly sounded from among them. When one person spoke, a second and third person followed suit. That's right, Brother Jiang Qin. Commander Zhou Wu is seriously injured. We don't know when he'll wake up. Why don't you take his place? In this way, we'll have a better life if we follow you. Chapter 1971. Jiang Qin wasn't surprised that they wanted to betray Zhou Wu. However, he wasn't interested in being the leader of the mercenary group. Brother Jiang Qin, don't hesitate anymore. Our Beast Slayer mercenary group can't do without a leader. Why don't you take over the leader's position for the time being? When he wakes up, we'll consider returning the position to him. Seeing that Jiang Qin didn't say anything, they thought that he was thinking about this matter and continued to speak. Stop it. Don't say such things again. Jiang Qin waved his hand and said. Seeing that Jiang Qin had rejected them, they didn't say anything else. However, they were still thinking about how to make Jiang Qin accept the position of leader. After chasing them away, Jiang Qin returned to his room and continued his seclusion. 2 days later, Jiang Qin arrived at the mercenary town next door. Jiang Qin is here. Seeing Jiang Qin, the members of the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group suddenly exclaimed. They knew how their leader was injured. What is he doing here? Sun Yuan and Sun Bao sat in the hall and held the wound on their chest. Although that sword strike did not take their lives, it still caused them to suffer heavy injuries. At the very least, they would need half a year's time to recover. If Jiang Qin came to find trouble now, no one in the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group could stop him. Brother Yuan, I forgot to tell you something. When we left the Beast Slayer mercenary group, Jiang Qin said that he would come to visit us. A mercenary standing beside Sun Yuan said, Is he here to find trouble? Sun Yuan clenched his fist and trembled. With our current situation, we can't stop him if he really wants to find trouble. Why don't we relax and see what he wants? Sun Bao was much calmer than him. That's true. Hearing his words, Sun Yuan relaxed. Under the guidance of the two mercenaries, Jiang Chen walked into the hall. Although they had just relaxed, Sun Yuan and Sun Bao still felt nervous when they saw Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's strength made them unable to fathom it all. Jiang Chen, we've already stopped attacking your Beast Slayer mercenary group. Why are you still here? Suppressing the fear in his heart, Sun Yuan tried to make himself look as normal as possible. Oh, didn't they tell you? Jiang Chen placed his hands behind his back and said indifferently, since you've lost, you have to accept your loss. I'm here to question you, so you have to tell me the truth. Otherwise, I'm afraid there's no need for your Heavenly Wolf mercenary group to exist in Mercenary Town. What are you talking about? Many people's bodies trembled. They didn't doubt him. They knew Jiang Chen was really strong. Jiang Chen, what are you trying to do? In the hall, everyone stared at Jiang Chen. Don't be afraid. I'm just here to ask questions. As long as you answer honestly, I won't do anything to you. Jiang Chen smiled and said when he saw that they were facing a great enemy. What do you want to know? After Jiang Chen said that he would not do anything, Sun Yuan and Sun Bao heaved a sigh of relief. Where's Sun Tianlang? Has he woken up? Jiang Chen glanced around and asked. Leader Sun is recuperating inside. Sun Yuan stared at Jiang Chen and said, Jiang Chen, whatever you want to know, just ask us. As long as you don't hurt our Heavenly Wolf mercenary group, we'll tell you everything we know. You don't know. Jiang Chen shook his head. Come with me. Sun Yuan did not dare to disobey Jiang Chen and could only lead him into the mercenary group. After stopping outside a room that was strictly guarded by mercenaries, Sun Yuan pointed inside and said, Leader is inside. I'm warning you, don't do anything excessive. Although we're all injured, the strength of our mercenary group is not something you can underestimate. All right, I know. Don't say any more. Jiang Chen was a little annoyed by Sun Yuan's words and said with a wave of his hand. He then pushed open the door and walked in. Seeing Jiang Chen walk in, Sun Tianlang jumped in fright and hurriedly shrank to the side of the bed. He did not know how Jiang Chen had entered, but he knew that in his current condition, he was no match for Jiang Chen. He would not even have the chance to resist and would be killed in an instant. Leader Sun, don't be afraid. I'm only here to ask a few questions. As long as you tell me honestly, I won't make things difficult for you. Jiang Chen sat by the bed and said with a smile, What do you want to ask? Sun Tianlang swallowed his saliva. The Vermilion Bird Clan. Jiang Chen closed the door and said indifferently, Tell me everything you know about the Vermilion Bird Clan. Otherwise, there's no need for your Heavenly Wolf mercenary group to exist in the immortal realm. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen reached out with his hand. An extremely vigorous wave of immortal power rose, but it only lasted for a moment before completely dissipating. Even the fluctuation of immortal power did not spread out. Immortal Duke? Sun Tianlang was stunned when he felt the fluctuation of Jiang Chen's immortal power. Although he was in the immortal realm, he had seen immortal dukes come to Mercenary Town after so many years. The strength that Jiang Chen had just displayed was on par with those immortal dukes. Do you know what to do in the future? Jiang Chen smiled. Lord Jiang Chen, don't worry. I won't tell anyone about your strength. Sun Tianlang was very sensible. He immediately endured the pain in his body and stood up. He quickly cupped his hands at Jiang Chen. That's right. Leader Sun, please tell me what you know. Jiang Chen nodded. Lord Jiang Chen, actually I don't know much about the Vermilion Bird tribe. I only know that this tribe seems to have lived in the wild forest for a period of time. Moreover, I've lived in Mercenary Town for hundreds of years, but I've never heard anything about them. Sun Tianlang's eyes were filled with shock. When he learned about Jiang Chen's true cultivation level, he did not dare to lie at all. Continue, Jiang Chen said. But it seems to be more than 100 years ago. When I was leading people to hunt ferocious beasts in the wild forest, I accidentally went deep into the forest. I think I saw a very large palace. Sun Tianlang thought for a moment and said, "The residents of the Vermilion Bird tribe?" Jiang Chun was interested. "I don't know. The palace was very dilapidated. I didn't pay attention at that time. I just took a quick glance and hurriedly ran for my life." Sun Tianlang shook his head and continued, "At that time, we encountered a ferocious beast at the 8th level of the immortal realm. We were no match for it at all. I lost hundreds of subordinates, and even I was injured. I was lucky to escape. I'm not interested in how you got out. Continue to tell me what you know." Jiang Chen waved his hand and interrupted him. Chapter 1972. "I don't know anything else." Sun Tianlang shook his head and said, "After that, I didn't dare to go into the depths of the desolate forest anymore. I was afraid of encountering those ferocious beasts with strong cultivation. Moreover, I heard that no one in the entire mercenary town dared to mention this matter. What you know is of no use to me." Jiang Chen frowned slightly. "Lord Jiang Chen." Sun Tianling broke out in a cold sweat when he heard Jiang Chen's words. The person in front of him was an immortal duke. Even if all the captains in mercenary town worked together, they wouldn't be a match for him. If Sun Tianling wasn't satisfied with the information he had provided and wanted to kill him, then his life would be over. "Are you afraid that I'll kill you?" Jiang Chen asked with a faint smile when he saw him looking as if he was facing a great enemy. "Of course," Sun Tianlang shuddered. "Recuperate well. Don't tell anyone about me." Jiang Chen got up and walked out. He couldn't help but feel disappointed that two mercenary groups didn't know anything about the Vermilion Bird tribe. Sun Tianlang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Jiang Chen leave. However, a figure immediately appeared in his mind. He hurriedly said, "Lord Jiang Chen, why don't you go to the east of the town to take a look? You might find the answer you want there." "Oh, what do you mean?" Jiang Chen stopped in his tracks and raised his eyebrows. "There's an old hunter living there. It's said that he's been living here since before Mercenary Town was established. Every year, we would ask him for advice, and he would tell us about the situation in the desolate forest. Lord Jiang Chen, if you really want to know about the Vermilion Bird tribe, you should go and ask him. That old hunter might know something." Sun Tianlang coughed twice and said, "Is that so?" Jiang Chen's interest was piqued. "It's absolutely true. I wouldn't dare to lie to Lord Jiang Chen." Sun Tianlang struggled to stand up, cupped his hands at Jiang Chen, and spoke. "If I can get the information, I'll reward you handsomely." Jiang Chen smiled and pushed the door open. Looking at Jiang Chen's departing figure, Sun Tianlang's body went limp and he fell off the bed. He didn't seek any benefits at all, and he only hoped that Jiang Chen would show mercy and let them live. When facing an immortal monarch, he truly didn't have the slightest confidence to go against an immortal monarch. "Commander." As soon as Jiang Chen left, Sun Yuan, Sun Bao, and the others rushed into the room. They helped Sun Tianlang up from the ground. "Leader, that brat Jiang Chen didn't make things difficult for you, right?" Sun Yuan gritted his teeth as he looked at Jiang Chen's figure. "I didn't make things difficult for him. He just asked me about some things." Sun Tianlang waved his hand and said, "Remember, don't ever offend this person again." "Why?" Sun Yuan and Sun Bao didn't understand. They thought that even if Jiang Chen had some strength, he wouldn't exceed an immortal monarch. Their Heavenly Wolf mercenary group had existed in Mercenary Town for hundreds of years and knew some experts above the immortal monarch realm. If they really asked them for help, they would definitely be able to make Jiang Chen die without a burial place. There's no why. Just remember my words in your heart. If anyone offends Jiang Chen, then leave the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group. Don't bring trouble to us. Do you understand? How could Sun Tianlang not understand what they were thinking? Hence, he immediately shouted in a low voice. "Understood, Commander." Sun Yuan and Sun Bao didn't dare to disobey and could only bury their doubts in their hearts. "Go out. I want to have a good rest. I'll leave the mercenary group to you for the time being. Also, I'll remind you again, don't offend Jiang Chen." Sun Tianlang lay on the bed and waved his hand at them as if all the strength in his body had been sucked out. "Yes." The two nodded again. After leaving the Heavenly Wolf mercenary group, Jiang Chen walked towards the east. This town was already the easternmost town. Jiang Chun left the city gate and looked into the distance. Indeed, at the end of his line of sight, in a position adjacent to the wild forest, he saw a thatched hut. An old hunter? Jiang Chun shrugged. Thinking that Sun Tianlang didn't have the guts to deceive him, Jiang Chun directly rushed over. After about half an incense stick's time, Jiang Chun walked to the front of the thatched hut. This was a very shabby thatched hut. Some very simple hunter's tools were placed outside the door. There was also a big dog tied to the door. However, when the dog saw Jiang Chun, not only did it not bark, it even looked up at Jiang Chun and lowered its head to continue sleeping. I'm being despised by a dog? Jiang Chun's vision turned black, and he almost fainted from anger. Senior, are you at home? It was just a dog, so Jiang Chun didn't bother with it. Instead, he walked to the front of the thatched hut and lightly knocked on the wooden door a few times as he asked in a deep voice. Who is it? A rather old voice came from inside the hut. This junior is Jiang Chun. I just arrived at Mercenary Town not long ago. Now that I'm a member of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, I'm here to visit Senior and ask about something. Jiang Chun took a deep breath and said, Now is not the time for me to accept your visit. If you have any questions, come back half a year later. The old man replied very quickly. Half a year? Jiang Chun frowned. He didn't have that much time to wait here. Senior, I do have something important to ask you. As long as you can tell me, I'm willing to pay a price. Jiang Chun looked inside through the gap in the wooden door and continued. You're very sincere. Unexpectedly, the old man who had rejected him righteously earlier was now wavering. Sure enough, all crows in the world are equally black. Jiang Chun muttered to himself as he pushed open the door and walked into the courtyard. In the courtyard, other than a large piece of cultivated farmland, there was only a stone table and a few stone stools at the side. It looked very simple. Moreover, the farmland was already full of weeds that were taller than a person. If he hadn't heard the voice coming from inside, Jiang Chun would have thought that no one had lived here for decades. Kid, at my age, I'm no longer interested in immortal jades. If you really have a question, then tidy up my land. Just as Jiang Chun was looking inside, the voice came from inside the thatched hut. I'm the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. I have nearly 20 immortal kings and countless immortal monarchs under me. Now, I'm actually doing farm work here. However, thinking that he had to ask about the Vermilion Bird clan, Jiang Chun could only agree. Chapter 1973. It looked like a small piece of farmland, but it took more than 6 hours for Jiang Chun to finish cleaning it up. Senior, I'm done. Jiang Chun exhaled 2 mouthfuls of turbid air and looked at the dirt on his hands. Come in then. A voice sounded. Jiang Chun washed his hands and pushed open the door of the straw hut. An old man in a linen robe was sitting in the living room. Although he was an old man, his hair was only half white and there were not many wrinkles on his face. Even his eyes were full of vigor. Senior, I came here this time because I have something very important to ask you. After walking in, Jiang Chun cupped his hands and said, Tell me and see if I know. The old man poured a cup of tea for Jiang Chun and pushed it in front of him. Senior, have you heard of the Vermilion Bird clan? Jiang Chun sat in front of him and held a cup of warm tea with both hands. I've heard of them. Isn't it the spiritual beast clan that was exterminated in the wild forest hundreds of thousands of years ago? When they were still around, the old man blurted out. However, he stopped halfway through his sentence. Senior, have you met them before? Jiang Chun looked at the old man in front of him. That has nothing to do with you. The old man sized up Jiang Chun and asked, Your cultivation level should be around the 5th level of the immortal realm. Why are you interested in information about the Vermilion Bird clan? Are you related to them in some way? I can't tell you that. Jiang Chun hesitated for a moment before he cupped his hands and said. He did not even tell Bai Xiaoyan about the sword technique in the Vermilion Bird talisman sword, let alone the old man in front of him. Jiang Chun was only asking about the situation and was not familiar with the old man in front of him. Naturally, he would not tell him everything. If you don't tell me, I won't tell you either. You'd better leave. The old man waved his hand. Senior, I sincerely want to ask. As long as you can tell me everything you know about the Vermilion Bird clan, I can fulfill any of your wishes. As for immortal jades or other things, as long as you say it, I can do it." Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said, "No, no, no. I've told you before that at my age, I'm no longer interested in worldly possessions." The old man waved his hand at Jiang Chen. His attitude was very firm. "If you want to know the situation from me, unless you tell me your true intentions, I won't tell you anything. This is my rule. If you don't believe me, you can ask anyone in Mercenary Town. Senior, after I tell you, don't tell anyone." Jiang Chen frowned. "Of course." The old man shook his head. "Some time ago, I coincidentally obtained the Vermilion Bird Clan's wooden talisman sword and the sword technique within the sword. However, only after obtaining the special mark of the Vermilion Bird Clan would I be able to completely grasp the sword technique and unleash the greatest might of the wooden talisman sword." Jiang Chen looked at him for a while and said helplessly, "Vermilion Bird wooden talisman sword?" The old man raised his head and saw the wooden sword hilt on Jiang Chen's back. "That's right." Jiang Chen nodded in agreement. "Show me the sword." The old man looked at Jiang Chen with a complicated expression. Jiang Chen pulled out the wooden sword and placed it in front of him. "Kid, you didn't lie. This is indeed something from the Vermilion Bird Clan." The old man picked up the wooden sword and looked at it carefully. His hand stroked the sword as he said, "Senior, are you very familiar with the Vermilion Bird Clan?" Hearing this, Jiang Chen's interest was immediately piqued, and he hurriedly asked, "Not really. Even though they have declined, they are still a famous spirit beast clan. I'm just an old hunter who hunts fierce beasts for a living." The old man shook his head and placed the wooden sword in front of Jiang Chen. "Then, Senior, do you know anything about the Vermilion Bird Clan? In the past few days I've lived in the mercenary town. I've asked many people. However, they either didn't know or knew very little. The information they gave me was almost completely useless." Jiang Chen hooked his finger, and the wooden sword returned to his back. "That's very normal. Ordinary mercenaries here don't know anything about the Vermilion Bird Clan. Even I know very little about them," the old man said with a smile. "Then, Senior, can you tell me more about them?" Jiang Chen looked at him and asked in a low voice. "The Vermilion Bird Clan. I don't know what happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, but they suddenly declined from being one of the top spirit beasts in the world. In the end, they could only hide in the wild forests. From what I know, they didn't last for long. It seems that around 300,000 years ago, this clan could be said to have completely disappeared. Although there may be survivors of the Vermilion Bird Clan in the immortal realm, they are very few in number. Moreover, they don't dare to show their faces and can only hide in their shells." The old man reached out and closed the door of the wooden house. Could it be, when he heard the old man mention this again, Jiang Chen couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Could it be that the Vermilion Bird Clan is also a clan under my command? After all, with the Azure Python Heavenly Snake Clan and the Sky-Devouring Golden Dragon Clan as precedents, Jiang Chen was now a little nervous. Could it be what? The old man asked. "Nothing. Senior, please continue." Jiang Chen shook his head. "If you want to obtain the Vermilion Bird Clan's mark, the best way is to fight your way into the depths of the wild forests. They seem to have left their residence there. Perhaps there will be a way. However, with your current cultivation, you don't seem to have the ability to do so." The old man continued. "Then, Senior, do you have a way?" Jiang Chen sat up straight and asked. The old man had hit the nail on the head. "No. If I could forcibly raise your cultivation base, I wouldn't be sitting here as a hunter. In the immortal plane, just go to any of the top sects and they would treat me like their old ancestor." The old man shook his head. "Then, Senior, have you been there before?" Jiang Chen was a little unwilling to give up. "I have indeed been there before, but that was thousands of years ago. Now that my cultivation is far inferior to before, and I haven't gone hunting in the mountains for a long time, I'm afraid I don't have the qualifications to go into the depths of the wild forests. However, I may have something here that will be very useful to you." The old man stroked the very short beard on his chin. "What?" Jiang Chen was taken aback. He hurriedly asked, "Come out with me." The old man finished the tea in front of him and stood up to walk outside. Jiang Chen hurriedly followed behind him. When he walked to the edge of the courtyard wall, the old man slowly squatted down. After digging a few times in the ground, he pulled out something that looked like a wooden stick wrapped in soil. "Here, this is it." The old man handed the wooden stick to Jiang Chun. Chapter 1974. What is this thing? Jiang Chun glanced at it. If the old man was not in front of him, he would have immediately thrown it away. Not only does this thing look like a piece of wood, it even emits a trace of urine smell. Phew! The old man gently blew out a breath. The soil on the wooden stick was immediately cleared. Only then did Jiang Chun see clearly that the thing in his hand was not a wooden stick at all. It was a scabbard. The scabbard of the vermilion bird talisman sword. Looking at the color of the wood and the similar low-key shape, Jiang Chun suddenly asked in surprise. Maybe. A few years ago, I once picked up this thing in the wild forest. I knew it was not an ordinary item, but it was useless to me, so I could only throw it here. Thousands of years have passed, and this thing has always been here. If not for seeing your wooden sword today, I would have forgotten about it. The old man smiled and said. Then its smell. Jiang Chun smelled the urine smell and asked with an embarrassed expression. "Oh, you have to ask it?" The old man pointed to the yellow dog at the gate and said, "When it lived in the courtyard, it might have peed in the corner a few times." Jiang Chun was speechless. He hurriedly urged the immortal energy in his body to get rid of all the smell. Pulling out the talisman sword, Jiang Chun closed it in the scabbard. The two fit together seamlessly. "Thank you, Senior." Jiang Chun held the wooden sword with one hand and said to the old man with cupped hands, "This thing is useless in my hands. If you like it, you can take it. However, you have to give me some immortal jade." The old man put his hands behind his back and showed a kind smile. "Well said." Jiang Chun agreed and said, "Senior, please say it. Seeing that you are so straightforward, I won't ask for much. 5 billion immortal jade, no bargaining. As long as you give it to me, then this scabbard will be yours in the future." The old man stretched out 5 fingers towards Jiang Chun. 5 billion? Jiang Chun was so shocked that his jaw dropped. He almost threw away the scabbard in his hand. However, despite his shock, Jiang Chun did not refuse. Although the price was indeed a little high, the scabbard of the vermilion bird talisman sword was definitely not an ordinary item. If he didn't buy it now, he definitely wouldn't be able to buy it in the future. Moreover, he now had the Ganges Bank and the money-earning skeleton. Although 5 billion was a lot, he could still afford it. "If you don't want it, then give it back to me." Seeing Jiang Chun hesitate, the old man reached out to take the scabbard back. "Senior, is this what you meant when you said that you're too old to be interested in worldly possessions like immortal jades?" Jiang Chun's mouth twitched. He held the thing in his hand tightly. "Senior, is this what you meant by old age? Do you want it?" the old man asked. "Yes." Jiang Chun endured the pain in his heart and nodded. If he didn't take this thing, he would regret it for the rest of his life. "Okay, then hand over the money." The old man reached out his hand to Jiang Chun. After rummaging through his storage ring, Jiang Chun took out a dozen promissory notes and handed them over. "TSK, you're really rich. Looks like 5 billion immortal jades is still too little." Seeing Jiang Chun's straightforward action, the old man felt a wave of regret in his heart. "This is all I have. If Senior wants another 100 million immortal jades, I won't be able to take it out." Jiang Chun bitterly laughed. "Okay, then I'll sell you the scabbard of the vermilion bird talisman sword." The old man let go of the scabbard, counted the promissory notes, and stuffed them all into his sleeve. "Okay." Jiang Chun heaved a sigh of relief. "Seeing that you're so straightforward, I'll give you another piece of information. If you want to enter the depths of the wild forest, there's more than one way." The old man nodded in satisfaction and pointed at the forest not far from the courtyard. "Oh, what other way is there?" Jiang Chun suddenly trembled and hurriedly asked. "Of course, this is just what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. At the entrance of the wild forest, there's a very hidden passage. It seems to be an escape passage that the Vermilion Bird clan once prepared to deal with disasters. However, no one can be sure whether it's really there or whether it can be used to enter the depths of the forest." The old man waved his hand and said, "Senior, Do you know anything else? Jiang Qin took note of what he said. I've almost forgotten everything else. I'll tell you when I think of it. The old man turned around and walked back into the thatched hut with his hands behind his back. Okay, thank you, senior. Seeing that he went back, Jiang Chun didn't stop him. Instead, he pushed open the door of the courtyard and went back. After Jiang Chun left the courtyard, the old man sat on a stool in the living room and coughed twice. He's gone out. You all can come out. As his words fell, several young people walked out of the room. They were all wearing the disciple robes of the Kunlun Celestial Mountain, and the inconspicuous old man in a linen robe in front of them was the 10th Mountain Master of the Kunlun Celestial Mountain, Zhan Yu. 10th Mountain Master? Is that Jiang Qin? The few of them looked outside in unison. Yes, he's Jiang Qin. Zhan Yu nodded and said, this kid previously robbed several sects in the Celestial Mountain. Now, I finally have a chance. The few of you, go back to the Kunlun Celestial Mountain immediately and ask the 9th Mountain Master Xian Yu and the 6th Mountain Master Wei Yu to send a few trustworthy disciples to me. Take back the Celestial Jade promissory notes and return them to the sects that suffered losses. Also, don't tell them about Jiang Qin's whereabouts. Remember? Remember, 10th Mountain Master? The disciples nodded repeatedly. After agreeing, they walked out of the courtyard. On the other hand, Jiang Chun didn't know about this matter. He took the scabbard and returned to the Beast Slayer mercenary group. As soon as he entered the door, before he could rest for a while, he saw someone led in by his subordinate. Brother Jiang Chun, since we killed the 2 fierce beasts in the divine immortal state, more and more people have been coming to sell them, but Commander Zhou Wu was injured. We weren't sure whether you would go into the wild forest or not. We were going to turn them down for the time being, but these 2 insisted on coming here. After entering the hall, the subordinate immediately walked up to Jiang Chun and said, What do you want? Jiang Chun waved his hand to dismiss his subordinate, then looked up at them and asked, 3 billion for a first-tier divine, immortal realm, fire-attributed ferocious beast. 2, 5 billion, as long as it's a divine, immortal realm, ferocious beast. The 2 people who came in said, almost at the same time, Both of you, I've already told you. Now that our captain is seriously injured, there's only Brother Jiang Chun in the mercenary group. Why don't you wait for a while? The subordinate was afraid that Jiang Chun would be angry with him. Before Jiang Chun could speak, he continued to say to the 2 people. Chapter 1975. Wait, 5 billion celestial jades. Since it's delivered to my door, how can I not accept it? Jiang Chun stopped his subordinate and said with a smile, I knew your Beast Slayer mercenary group had such strength. The 2 men burst into laughter. In the entire mercenary town, it seemed that no one except the Beast Slayer mercenary group could kill 2 divine, celestial realm ominous beasts at the same time. Please go back. I'll send someone to inform you when the time comes. Jiang Chun said with a smile. As soon as they left, the subordinate came up to Jiang Chun. Brother Jiang Chun, Leader Zhou Wu is injured and our brothers have suffered heavy casualties. Let alone 2. I'm afraid even 1 ominous beast is difficult to deal with. The subordinate looked excited. It was impossible for the Beast Slayer mercenary group to complete such a task. Who said we should do it? Jiang Chun said with a smile. Brother Jiang Chun, do you know other experts? The subordinate became excited. Go and inform Leader Sun Tianlang and Chun Tai of the Wolf Head Mercenary Group. Tell them to follow me into the mountain tomorrow. If they can complete the task, I'll give them 2 billion celestial jades. Jiang Chun said with a smile. 2 divine, celestial realm, ominous beasts. He didn't need the help of the experts around him. He could easily deal with them himself. But the 2 mercenary groups don't have a good relationship with us, especially Sun Tianlang. A few days ago, he attacked in the manor. The subordinate didn't understand Jiang Chen's words. Just go. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Jiang Chen frowned and slapped him on the head. After the subordinate felt the pain, he didn't dare to say anything and quickly ran away. What surprised the subordinate was that when he brought Jiang Chen's news to them, he assumed that Sun Tianlang and Chen Tai would reject him. and they might even beat him up. However, the two immediately nodded and agreed. They also told him to tell Jiang Chun that they would be waiting outside the town with the elites of their respective mercenary groups tomorrow morning. This news did not surprise Jiang Chun. Of course, the reason why he agreed to these two sellers was that receiving celestial jade was only secondary. More importantly, he wanted these two mercenary groups to go to the wild forest to hunt wild beasts of the immortal realm. Jiang Chun, on the other hand, wanted to see if there was the passage that the old man had mentioned. The next morning, Jiang Chun didn't bring anyone from the Beast Slayer mercenary group with him. He just carried the rune wooden sword with his hands behind his back and slowly walked out of the town. Sun Tianlang and Chen Tai were waiting outside. Captain Sun's injuries don't seem to have recovered yet. Why don't you go back and rest? Seeing the pale-faced Sun Tianlang sitting in the wooden carriage, Jiang Chun frowned slightly and said, "Let Sun Yuan and Sun Bao follow me." "No need. My body is fine," Sun Tianlang hurriedly explained. "Brother Jiang Chun, the Beast Slayer mercenary group has suffered great losses. Why don't you quit and join our Wolf Head mercenary group? I'll give you the position of captain, and I'll be the vice captain. How about it?" When Jiang Chun walked to his side, Chen Tai looked at Jiang Chun with a smile and said in a low voice. He had seen Jiang Chun's strength. It was enough to make him give up his position and only be the vice captain. He would give the position of captain to Jiang Chun. He knew that with Jiang Chun around, their Wolfhead mercenary group would definitely become the #1 mercenary group in the entire mercenary town. Although he spoke in a low voice, Sun Tianlang and the others weren't deaf. Naturally, they could hear him clearly. "This bastard," Sun Tianlang cursed inwardly. "Captain, where did this Jiang Chun come from? Why is Chen Tai so polite to him?" Sun Yuan was very puzzled. "Don't ask if you don't understand." Sun Tianlang didn't explain, but he had already made up his mind to get Jiang Chun to join their Heavenly Wolf mercenary group before Chen Tai did. Otherwise, they might be suppressed by the Wolfhead mercenary group in the future. "I'm not interested in your mercenary group." Jiang Chun smiled and said, "You don't have to worry about me. I'll leave the Beast Slayer mercenary group sooner or later." "Brother Jiang Chun, do you mean to say that you'll establish your own mercenary group in Mercenary Town in the future?" Chen Tai keenly captured Jiang Chun's meaning and hurriedly said, "Then Brother Jiang Chun, our Wolf Head mercenary group will join you. Our Heavenly Wolf mercenary group too." Sun Tianlang didn't want to be outdone and hurriedly said, "Let's talk about this later. I'm not interested in it now." Jiang Chun waved his hand. He couldn't be bothered to talk about this with them. He raised his hand and pointed at the wild forest in the distance and said, "Before that, I hope you can complete the mission I've given you. Otherwise, even if I accept you in the future, you'll be useless to me." "No problem. Don't worry, Brother Jiang Chun," Sun Tianlang and Chen Tai said at the same time. The two mercenary groups moved. Jiang Chun followed behind them with his hands behind his back. They entered the wild forest. Jiang Chun ordered the two groups to split up and search for the divine, immortal realm ferocious beasts. When they had all disappeared into the forest, Jiang Chun also started to look for the passage. However, since it was a passage used by the vermilion bird race to escape, it must have been disguised. Moreover, since hundreds of thousands of years had passed, who knew whether it had already collapsed? But compared to rushing directly into the depths of the forest, this was obviously a better idea. 2 hours, 4 hours, several hours passed, but Jiang Chun still didn't find any clues. And in the forest, he could vaguely hear Sun Tianlang and Chen Tai fighting ferocious beasts. The immortal energy fluctuations caused by the fight could be felt. Sensing that they were about to collapse, Jiang Chun patted the dirt off his butt and quickly followed in. If these people died in there, then if he wanted to earn more immortal jades, he would have to do it himself. "All of you hold on. If we can't get rid of this fire-type ferocious beast in front of us today, I'm afraid Jiang Chun will be disappointed in us." Sun Tianlong's injuries had not fully recovered. When he fought with the ferocious beast, he was slapped on the back. Not only his clothes, but even a piece of his flesh was torn off. But now, he couldn't care less about his injuries. His mind was filled with thoughts of how to get rid of the ferocious beast in front of him. If he disappointed Jiang Chun, then he would have no chance of riding on his coattails. "Leader, I'm afraid we can't hold on any longer," Sun Yuan and Sun Bao said with some pain. If they weren't injured, it wouldn't be a problem for the three of them to work together to get rid of a divine, immortal realm ferocious beast. But now, the three of them were injured by Jiang Chun. They couldn't even use a third of their strength before. Chapter 1976. I have to hold on even if I can't. Sun Tianlang clenched his teeth tightly as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Even his consciousness was gradually becoming blurry. Swoosh! A cold light flashed in the dark forest. It directly passed through the head of the beast. The beast, which had been struggling fiercely and had almost wiped out the entire Heavenly Wolf mercenary group, was now lying on the ground. Lord Jiang Chun. Sun Tianlang let out a long sigh of relief when Jiang Chun rushed over. Jiang Chun had rushed over. He knew that the sudden death of the beast was definitely caused by Jiang Chun. Only Jiang Chun, who had the strength of an immortal lord, could have done this. "Are your injuries serious?" Jiang Chun glanced at him and asked. "Not serious, not serious." Sun Tianlang coughed and completely ignored his injuries. He struggled to stand up and said, "Lord Jiang Chun, our Heavenly Wolf mercenary group's strength is definitely not limited to this. It was only because we were injured that it was a little difficult to deal with it." "Do you mean that you're blaming me for injuring you?" Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. "Absolutely not." Sun Tianlang immediately perked up when he heard this. He hurriedly waved his hands and denied it. "We only have ourselves to blame. We came here to humiliate ourselves." "Leader!" After a while, Sun Yuan and the others also ran over. They did not think that it was Jiang Chun who had done it. Instead, they thought that it was their leader who had done it. "Bring the beast back." Jiang Chun was not interested in talking to this group of people. He waved his hand and said. As soon as his voice echoed, Chintai followed Jiang Chun's aura and came over. When he saw that the ferocious beast in front of him had already been killed, his expression became unpleasant. He didn't expect that Sun Tianlang and the others would still have the ability to kill the vicious beasts even when they were injured. Their speed was almost the same as theirs. "Brother Jiang Chun, we've killed the fierce beasts." Chintai walked in front of Jiang Chun and said, "Looks like my luck is pretty good this time. I've just entered the forest, and I've already found a dire beast." Jiang Chun nodded and said with a smile, "Since you've already gotten it, let's go back. The 2 billion immortal jades each for the two of you. When I get it from the buyer, I will send someone to give it to you." "Don't worry, we're not interested in immortal jades." "That's right, Brother Jiang Chun. Immortal jade is nothing." Sun Tianlang and Chun Tai waved their hands and said in unison. These words left the Heavenly Wolf mercenaries dumbstruck. They did not know why these mercenaries, who usually valued immortal jades more than their lives, had suddenly lost interest in immortal jades. That was 2 billion immortal jades. "Act according to the rules. Let's go back." Jiang Chun waved his hand and said. Sun Tianlang arranged for his subordinates to carry the ferocious beast onto the wooden cart. Chintai also turned back to inform the others. However, just as everyone heaved a sigh of relief and was preparing to receive the immortal jade, a wave of energy that was even stronger than before suddenly came from the forest. Celestial, venerable spiritual beast? Sensing this aura, the members of the Heavenly Wolf mercenaries were so frightened that their legs went weak. They did not know why these ferocious beasts, which lived in the deeper parts of the forest, would suddenly appear here. Although similar situations had happened in the past, there were hundreds of mercenary groups in the entire mercenary town. It would only happen once or twice in 1,000 years. And now, it was such a coincidence that they had encountered it. Chintai was also stunned on the spot. His legs were stiff, and he did not even have the strength to move forward. A ferocious beast with the strength of a celestial venerable was not something they could fight against. Lord Jiang Chun, Sun Tianlang swallowed his saliva. He was the only one in the group who knew Jiang Chun's strength. As an immortal monarch, Dealing with a celestial, venerable, ferocious beast would not be a problem. However, he did not know if Jiang Chun would save their lives. You guys take it and leave. Jiang Chun's expression was incomparably relaxed. Brother Jiang Chun, let's leave quickly. A celestial, venerable, ferocious beast is not something we can kill. I'm afraid that we won't be able to hurt it with just a few of us. Seeing that Jiang Chun had no intention of leaving, Chintai hurriedly came back to persuade him. While he was speaking, Sun Tianlang had already sensibly ordered his subordinates to take the ferocious beast and leave. He knew that Jiang Chun would protect them. At the same time, he also knew that they would not be of any help if they stayed here. On the contrary, they might even be a burden to Jiang Chun. You guys, Brother Jiang Chun, don't try to show off. Seeing that Sun Tianlang and the others had left, and seeing that Jiang Chun did not look like he was joking, Chintai hurriedly ran towards his subordinates. After they left, Jiang Chun looked towards the depths of the forest. This was his first time fighting a celestial, venerable, ferocious beast. Fighting. In the 10 seconds of silence, Jiang Chun sensed that Sun Tianlang, Chintai, and the others had all left the desolate forest. As for him, he would be able to unleash all of his strength. Roar! The ferocious beast rushed out. Jiang Chun's eyes were fixed on its body. It was a lion with a pair of wings, but those wings seemed to have degenerated. A celestial, venerable, ferocious beast. If it was sold, wouldn't it be worth tens of billions of celestial jades? Jiang Chun stared at it. Although that was what he said, the inner core of such a ferocious beast was a great supplement. After consuming it, it might not increase one's cultivation, but it was at least beneficial and harmless. As if it understood Jiang Chun's words, the ferocious beast roared. As it flapped its wings, its 4 hooves seemed like it was about to leap into the air. Under its powerful aura, many ferocious beasts in the surroundings retreated, and the trees in front of Jiang Chun were smashed into pieces. Seal of ice. The best way to deal with such a ferocious beast was to let it calm down. Jiang Chun formed a seal with both hands, and an icy aura spread out. The ferocious beast was instantly stunned. Even if it used all of its strength and mobilized all of its cultivation, it couldn't advance even half a step. Dashing in front of it, Jiang Chun smiled. A celestial, venerable, ferocious beast should have evolved to become sentient. If you tell me about the situation in the depths of the desolate forest, I might consider letting you go. Roar! The ferocious beast roared. Looks like you don't want to. Jiang Chun frowned slightly, then smacked its head with his palm. Under Jiang Chun's vigorous, immortal energy, the ferocious beast couldn't resist despite its good cultivation and strong body. When the immortal energy hit its head, its aura instantly dissipated. TSK, a celestial venerable. I don't know how many years you've cultivated to reach your current cultivation. If you don't listen to me, you'll die. Grabbing its leg, Jiang Chun walked out of the desolate forest. If it were before, Jiang Chun would definitely put it in his storage ring to prevent the people of Mercenary Town from seeing it and discovering his true strength. But now, Jiang Chun wouldn't hide it. Chapter 1978. Driven away by Zhan Yu, Xin Yu, and Wei Yu had no choice but to leave. 6th Mountain Lord and 9th Mountain Lord were driven away just like that. Seeing the two leave in anger, the disciples who were hiding outside hurriedly came in and asked all at once, "Did you find out the information I asked you to?" Zhan Yu obviously didn't want to say anything more about this matter. "We don't have any clues. 10th Mountain Lord, we've been here for thousands of years. I'm afraid the disappearance of the Vermilion Bird clan has nothing to do with the Dark Moon clan." The two disciples spoke one after another. Other than the Dark Moon clan, there's almost no other force that could cause the once prosperous Vermilion Bird clan to fall to this state. Don't forget who the clan leader of the Vermilion Bird clan was. Zhan Yu took a deep breath and said, "Then let's continue the investigation." The disciples had no choice. Ever since Zhan Yu set his sights on the wild forest, they had investigated countless times. However, they didn't make any progress each time. They even suspected that the 10th Mountain Lord's guess might be wrong. However, they only muttered in their hearts and didn't dare to say a word. Also, secretly keep an eye on Jiang Chun. That kid is a master who can turn the world upside down. If I'm not careful, he might escape from my control. Zhang Yu was just about to return to his room to rest when he saw the few promissory notes left on the table and said to his disciples, "Yes, 10th Mountain Lord." The few of them quickly nodded in agreement. Mercenary Town. After Jiang Chen brought back the ferocious beast of the immortal venerable realm, his name instantly spread in several towns. Everyone knew that the new vice leader of the Beast Slayer mercenary group had the ability to kill a ferocious beast of the immortal venerable realm. This kind of strength was already the top in the entire mercenary town. One had to know that only a large mercenary group could kill a ferocious beast of the immortal venerable realm. Jiang Chun was the first person who brought back a ferocious beast of the immortal venerable realm single-handedly. Brother Jiang Chun, there are many mercenary groups outside who want to see you. Before Jiang Chun could sit down and rest, someone rushed in and said, "Oh, are you looking for trouble?" Jiang Chun's first thought was that he had gone too far this time. 2 immortal realm beasts and 1 immortal venerable realm beast were enough to make everyone jealous. "No, I'm here to visit the mountain." The subordinate shook his head and said with a strange expression, "Big brother Jiang Chun, they probably saw your strength, so they came over to build a good relationship with you. Since they're here to visit the mountain, then let them in. We can't just shut them out," Jiang Chun said with a smile. Under his instructions, many people surged into the hall. This group of people no longer looked at Jiang Chun with hostility. Instead, they looked at him with reverence. They couldn't understand why Zhou Wu was able to recruit such a powerful mercenary. Jiang Chun's cultivation was at the 5th level of the immortal realm, which was many times stronger than their immortal realm. "Everyone, may I know the reason for your sudden visit?" Jiang Chun looked at them with a smile. We're here to apologize for what happened last time." "That's right, Leader Jiang Chun. We were too immature last time. How could we vent our hatred for the Beast Slayer mercenary group and Zhou Wu on you? I hope you can forgive us for what we did last time, since we are all mercenaries from the mercenary town." The leaders of these mercenary groups looked at each other and said embarrassedly. Only when they saw the immortal venerable realm beast did they realize how stupid their actions were. When they thought about how Jiang Chun could easily injure Sun Tianling, Sun Yuan, and Sun Bao, the 3 of them were seriously injured. They didn't doubt that if Jiang Chun used his full strength, they wouldn't be able to leave the Beast Slayer mercenary group alive. "I'm not the leader of the Beast Slayer mercenary group." Jiang Chun frowned slightly. "In our hearts, you already are." "Yes, Leader Jiang Chun. With your strength, how can you be confined to the Beast Slayer mercenary group and be an ordinary mercenary? I think it's better to leave the group and establish your own group. We'll all be your subordinates. What do you think? If we join forces, I'm afraid that no one in the mercenary town can fight against us." They didn't take Jiang Chun's words to heart and continued to talk among themselves. After all, even though Jiang Chun was sitting here, they still had irreconcilable conflicts with the Beast Slayer mercenary group and Zhou Wu. Once Zhou Wu woke up, they didn't know what he would order Jiang Chun to do. If he ordered Jiang Chun to get rid of them, they wouldn't have the ability to resist. Therefore, the best way was to persuade Jiang Chun to leave the Beast Slayer mercenary group or replace Zhou Wu's position. This way, they would be willing to get close to Jiang Chun without any worries. "Everyone, if you still want to say such things, then leave this place," Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. "Brother Jiang Chun, are you going to replace me and swallow my Beast Slayer mercenary group?" Before the group could continue speaking, Zhou Wu's voice rang out. He had just woken up and his injuries hadn't fully recovered. He was going to rest for a while, but after hearing what Jiang Chun had done, he suddenly became anxious. He asked Jiang Chun to help him take care of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, but he didn't ask Jiang Chun to swallow his mercenary group. "Leader Zhou Wu, what do you mean?" Jiang Chun's face was a little ugly. "What do I mean? If I woke up a little later, I'm afraid that my Beast Slayer mercenary group would become your mercenary group, and I, Zhou Wu, would be killed by you." Zhou Wu sneered and walked through the crowd. Seeing him, many people subconsciously took a step back. Of course, They weren't afraid of the injured Zhou Wu, but they were afraid that Zhou Wu would order Jiang Chen to kill them. I've never thought of that. Jiang Chen spread his hands helplessly. If it weren't for the fact that Zhou Wu knew some information about the vermilion birds, Jiang Chen would have attacked him as soon as he questioned him in an unfriendly tone. Then what did they just say? I clearly heard them call you leader Jiang Chen. Is there something wrong with my ears? Zhou Wu walked in front of Jiang Chen with a few of his subordinates and asked coldly, I trusted you so much, but I didn't expect you to have such wild ambitions. If that's what leader Zhou Wu thinks, then I have nothing else to say. Seeing that Zhou Wu insisted, Jiang Chen didn't want to waste any more words with him. There were hundreds of mercenary groups in Mercenary Town. Of course, there would be some who knew about the Vermilion Bird clan like him. Chapter 1979. You mean to say that you want to annex my Beast Slayer mercenary group? Zhou Wu was a little angry. He trusted Jiang Chen so much, but he didn't expect such an outcome. I'm not interested in your Beast Slayer mercenary group. Jiang Chen sneered and said, since leader Zhou Wu is worried that I will do something to your mercenary group, then I'll leave. Well said, Lord Jiang Chen. Yeah, you shouldn't be under Zhou Wu. You've established a new mercenary group, and we're the first to join. After hearing Jiang Chen's words, this group of people didn't care that Zhou Wu was standing there and said one after another. This was what they wanted to see the most. Once Jiang Chen and Zhou Wu completely broke off, they would no longer have to worry about their grudges with the Beast Slayer mercenary group. It could even be said that Jiang Chen would definitely get rid of Zhou Wu in the future. Then they would have one less big problem. You. Hearing this group of people's words, Zhou Wu pointed at their noses and said loudly, Leader Zhou Wu, I hope that you can show some respect. If you dare to disrespect Brother Jiang Chen in any way, we will definitely not agree. Before Zhou Wu could finish his words, another leader of the mercenary group scolded. Yeah, do you really think that your Beast Slayer mercenary group is the only big family now? Another person chimed in with a sneer. Let's go, everyone. This time, Jiang Chen didn't reject their good intentions. Instead, he swung his sleeves and walked out. Behind him, dozens of people followed behind in a grandiose manner. Zhou Wu was so angry that his lips trembled. Leader Zhou, Brother Jiang Chen has no intention of leaving. When this group of people tried to persuade him to be the leader, he rejected them righteously. Seeing Jiang Chen leave, a mercenary couldn't help but say to Zhou Wu, what a joke! I clearly heard everyone try to persuade him to be the leader of the Beast Slayer mercenary group. They even told him to set up his own mercenary group. Do you think I'm deaf? Recruiting Jiang Chen into the mercenary group is the worst thing I've done in all these years. Don't ever mention this person again. Zhou Wu snorted. He had been very worried when he first got injured and had no choice but to hand the mercenary group over to Jiang Chen. He knew that Jiang Chen was very strong, and he was also worried that while he was recuperating, Jiang Chen would take advantage of the situation and take away his position as the regiment commander. Now that he heard this, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He didn't know if Jiang Chen had agreed or not, but at the very least, there were signs of it. What he needed to do was to suppress the signs as soon as possible to avoid similar situations in the future. Otherwise, when Jiang Chen really pushed him out, everything he did would be useless. Many mercenaries watched as Jiang Chen left. They felt very regretful. They also knew that once Jiang Chen left, their Beast Slayer mercenary group's strength would be greatly reduced. They might even lose to Jiang Chen's new mercenary group. Brothers, why don't we follow Brother Jiang Chen and leave this place? Yeah, now that the regiment commander is injured and Su Li and the other experts have died in the desolate forest, the mercenary group's strength has been greatly reduced. If we continue to stay here, it's nothing more than a waste of time. Several mercenaries standing at the entrance of the manor lowered their heads and whispered among themselves. Why don't we leave with Jiang Chen now? The Heavenly Wolf mercenary group and the Wolfhead mercenary group listened to him and killed 2 divine celestial realm and 1 immortal supremacy realm fierce beast. This kind of strength is already the top in the mercenary town. Soon, many people had the same idea. They looked at each other and saw a trace of ruthlessness in each other's eyes. When they made up their minds, They all walked out of the manor and followed behind Jiang Chun. In the hall, Zhou Wu realized that something was wrong. Regiment Commander Zhou Wu, those brothers seem to want to leave with Jiang Chun. Why don't we stop them? Several people surrounded Zhou Wu and talked at the same time. Don't worry about it. If they want to follow Jiang Chun, then let them. Our Beast Slayer mercenary group is the strongest force in the mercenary town. Even if they all gather together, they're just a motley crew. In front of me, they still can't withstand a single blow. Zhou Wu narrowed his eyes. If not for his injuries, he would have rushed out and killed Jiang Chun. Unfortunately, his injuries were still very serious. If he went out now, he would undoubtedly be courting death. Not long after Jiang Chun left, many people from the Beast Slayer mercenary group followed him out. After a while, dozens of people had left. Leading them, Jiang Chun arrived at the Wolf Head mercenary group. Jiang Chun was very excited about Jiang Chun's arrival. He originally hated Zhou Wu, but now he was very grateful. If not for Zhou Wu finding trouble with Jiang Chun for no reason, then Jiang Chun would not have the chance to come to the sect. Brother Jiang Chun, please come in. After arriving at the manor, Chun Tai quickly walked in front of Jiang Chun. Many mercenaries were very surprised. They had never seen their leader be so respectful to anyone. But when they saw that the person who came was Jiang Chun, they understood. After all, Jiang Chun's matter had spread in the mercenary town. Many mercenary groups had gathered, wanting to build a good relationship with Jiang Chun. Be honest, don't talk nonsense. Sun Tianling quickly reminded Sun Yuan and Sun Bao when he saw that their expressions were not good. Although Jiang Chun had joined the Wolf Head mercenary group, who knew if he would establish a new mercenary group? Understood, leader. The two nodded in agreement. Walking into the hall, Jiang Chun looked at the leaders of the mercenary groups standing in front of him. Brother Jiang Chun, from now on, you will be the leader of the Wolf Head mercenary group, and I will be the vice leader. I will help you deal with the matters of the mercenary group. Chun Tai rubbed his hands excitedly. He had been thinking about it day and night, unable to sleep at night. Finally, Jiang Chun came. Wolf Head mercenary group? Jiang Chun smiled, then shook his head and said, "This name is not very nice. From today onwards, the Wolf Head mercenary group will be called the Myriad Transformations mercenary group." Myriad Transformations? Everyone was a little surprised. Although they did not have much influence in the immortal world, they knew the name Myriad Transformations. This person was once the son of the 10,000 Vehicle Immortal Monarch, the young master of the 10,000 Vehicle Immortal sect. He had a certain reputation in the immortal world. Later on, no one knew why he suddenly disappeared. Brother Jiang Chun, you might not know, but the name Myriad Transformations was once the young master of the 10,000 Vehicle Immortal sect. Isn't it a little inappropriate for us to call ourselves the Myriad Transformations mercenary group? Chun Tai smiled awkwardly and said, "What's wrong with it?" Jiang Chun looked at him. Chapter 1980. There was nothing wrong with using the name of his previous life to establish a mercenary group. Of course, that Myriad Transformations has disappeared from the immortal world for many years. Moreover, Lord Jiang Chun's strength is not bad. Sun Tianling was the first to agree. He had seen Jiang Chun's true strength. Immortal Monarch. The Myriad Vehicle Immortal Monarch was an immortal monarch, and Jiang Chun was also an immortal monarch. So what if they used his son's name as the mercenary group's name? Moreover, Myriad Transformations had disappeared a long time ago. Even if they reappeared, they would only have the same name. No problem. Chun Tai swallowed his saliva and agreed. Brother Jiang Chun, we all want to join your Myriad Transformations mercenary group. What do you think? More than a dozen mercenary group leaders stood in the hall and spoke almost at the same time. They all knew of Jiang Chun's strength. If they could join the Myriad Transformations mercenary group, not to mention how much immortal jade they could earn in the future, at least no other mercenary group would dare to find trouble with them. Sure, no problem. Jiang Chun nodded and said, "Thank you, Leader Jiang Chun." Everyone revealed a happy expression and cupped their hands to Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun smiled with satisfaction and said, "Chun Tai, Go and register everyone who wants to join the Myriad Transformations mercenary group. I'll leave this matter to you." "No problem, Leader Jiang Chun." Chun Tai agreed without hesitation. "Although the Myriad Transformations mercenary group has been established, you all must remember one thing. The main task of the mercenary group is to investigate the Vermilion Bird clan in the desolate forest. If anyone can find them, I'll give them a reward of 500 million immortal jade or above." Looking at the people in front of him, Jiang Chun said faintly, "Vermilion Bird clan?" Everyone's expression was somewhat stiff. They had lived in the mercenary town for thousands of years. Who didn't know the name Vermilion Bird clan? However, in their opinion, this name only existed in legends. As for whether or not this clan existed in the desolate forest, it was still unknown. And now, Jiang Chun actually wanted them to investigate, but they didn't even have a clue. Could it be that they had to break into the wild forest to investigate? Wouldn't that be giving their lives to the vicious beasts as food? "Captain Jiang Chun, doesn't our Wanhua mercenary group accept orders to kill vicious beasts?" Sun Tianling awkwardly coughed twice. If this was really the case, then wouldn't joining the Myriad Transformation mercenary group be equivalent to throwing himself in? After all, no one believed that he could inquire about the Vermilion Bird clan. The reward of more than 500 million immortal jades could be said to be nothing. Of course, I'm just asking you to pay attention to it. As for the list of ferocious beasts, of course, you can't miss it, Jiang Chun said with a smile. Understood, understood. After hearing these words, they finally felt completely at ease. Each and every one of them grinned at Jiang Chun. As for the news regarding the Vermilion Bird tribe, they did not pay too much attention to it. It would naturally be good if they could inquire about it, but if they couldn't, then they couldn't force it. You all can go back. Summarize the strength of each mercenary group and report it to me. In the future, when there is a list of ferocious beasts to hunt, I will let you all know. Then, Captain Jiang Chun, we will take our leave first." Everyone uniformly cupped their hands towards Jiang Chun. After they left, the entire hall quieted down. Only Chun Tai was left standing in front of him. "You won't be angry that I occupied your mercenary group, right?" Looking at the person in front of him, Jiang Chun asked with a smile. "Of course not. Our Wolf Head mercenary group will be a part of the Wanhua mercenary group from now on." Chun Tai hurriedly waved his hand. He didn't dare to disobey Jiang Chun's words. Moreover, it had always been his dream to become Jiang Chun's subordinate. In the entire mercenary town, there was probably no one who could deal with an immortal, venerable realm vicious beast alone except for Jiang Chun. "That's good." Jiang Chun stood up, walked in front of him, and patted him on the shoulder. "Remember, as long as you follow me obediently, I can guarantee that you will be rich and prosperous in the future. However, if you have any evil thoughts, I will be the first to not let you off." Hearing this, Chun Tai was instantly frightened and broke out in cold sweat. His legs stiffened as he stood on the spot. He didn't even dare to move. He didn't know why Jiang Chun suddenly said this. He just took it as a warning to him. "Go," Jiang Chun said faintly. Soon, the news of the Wolf Head mercenary group, changing its name to the Wanhua mercenary group, quickly spread throughout the mercenary town. However, no one was surprised. They all knew that there was now a divine immortal realm expert called Jiang Chun who could kill an immortal venerable realm vicious beast by himself. The current Wanhua mercenary group had not only absorbed the Wolf Head mercenary group, but also the Sky Wolf, Earth Toad, and other mercenary groups. It could be said that the Wanhua mercenary group was now the strongest mercenary group in the mercenary town. Not only did this news reach Zhou Wu's ears, but even Zhang Yu knew it clearly. "Oh, that kid established a mercenary group?" After hearing this news, Zhang Yu put down the scroll in his hand and asked with a smile, "Yes, I really don't know what he's thinking. He gave up being the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect and came here to be the leader of a mercenary group. Does he think that the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect is the same as before? Does he think that he can do whatever he wants in the immortal world?" The disciples of the 10th Mountain stood in front of Zhang Yu and asked in confusion, "This has nothing to do with you. If he wants to be the leader of a mercenary group, then let him be." Zhang Yu waved his hand. These disciples didn't know, but he knew very well. Zhang Chen established a mercenary group mostly because of the Vermilion Bird clan. 10th Mountain Lord, I think there must be many people in the mercenary group watching him. Should we go and protect him? Hearing Zhang Yu's words, the disciples no longer hesitated. No need. You can continue with your work. Right now, no one in the mercenary town can hurt him. Zhang Yu shook his head and said, "Oh, right. There's one more thing." What? The disciples asked. There's no need to go into the wild forest for now. Zhang Yu said, could it be that the 10th Mountain Lord has found news about the Vermilion Bird clan? The disciples' faces lit up with joy. Thinking about how they were about to leave this godforsaken place, they felt very excited. No, I want you to rest for a while, Zhang Yu said in a deep voice. After waving his hand to let the disciples leave, he continued to read the scroll in front of him. The reason he stopped was because he didn't want to bump into Jiang Chun in the wild forest. Of course, he didn't think that Jiang Chun would be able to find any clues. At most, he would be able to get the special mark of the Vermilion Bird clan. Chapter 1981. As for the relationship between the Vermilion Bird clan and the Dark Moon clan, he didn't believe that Jiang Chun had the ability to investigate it. Time passed quickly. Half a month had passed since Jiang Chun established the Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group. Many experts who had just arrived at the mercenary town had rushed over after hearing the news. Jiang Chun had also received many missions to hunt ferocious beasts. Among these missions, Jiang Chun only accepted those who were at the divine immortal realm and above. As for those below, he rejected all of them, not for anything else. Only by hunting ferocious beasts at the divine immortal realm and above would they have the opportunity to enter the depths of the desolate forest and investigate the Vermilion Bird clan. Those ferocious beasts with low cultivation were mostly living at the edge of the forest. Batches of mercenaries entered the forest. When they brought the ferocious beasts back, they didn't find any clues in the forest. Calculating the time, it had been almost 20 days since they arrived at the mercenary town. Although there were people guarding the Myriad Mount's immortal sect and the divine secret pavilion, Jiang Chun was still a little worried if they stayed outside for a long time. Just as Jiang Chun was about to enter the depths of the desolate forest to investigate, Chen Tai hurriedly ran in. Leader Jiang Chun, a clan in the southern region, wants to obtain the inner core of a wood attribute immortal, venerable, ferocious beast. Chen Tai rushed into the hall and said while panting heavily, "How many immortal jades?" Jiang Chun asked. They said 5 billion immortal jades. But if it's a 5th level immortal venerable or above, they'll give us 6 billion immortal jades. Chen Tai replied. That's right. Jiang Chun was naturally happy to agree to this price. However, Leader Jiang Chun, I'm afraid no one in our Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group can kill an immortal venerable ferocious beast. If we want to complete it, I'm afraid, apart from being happy, Chen Tai was also a little worried. Although they had attracted a lot of experts to join the mercenary group, the strongest expert they had recruited was only at the 3rd level of the divine immortal realm. Although he wasn't weak, he was still far from being able to kill immortal venerables. I'll go personally. Jiang Chun knew what he was worried about, so before he could finish speaking, Jiang Chun took the lead and said, Go and gather some experts in the mercenary group. After 2 hours, follow me in. Understood. Chen Tai nodded vigorously. Ferocious beasts above the 5th level of the immortal venerable realm. The one who was killed by Jiang Chun was sold for 5 billion immortal jades. If he succeeded this time, he would earn at least 5 billion. As the person with the highest position in the Wanhua mercenary group, other than Jiang Chun, he would naturally get a share. When Chen Tai went out to inform Jiang Chun, he felt proud of his smart decision. It was fortunate that he had become Jiang Chun's subordinate. Otherwise, he would have been envious of Jiang Chun. 2 hours later, more than 10 divine, immortal realm experts gathered at the entrance of the manor. Most of these people had just been recruited. They came to participate because of the strength of the Wanhua mercenary group, but they didn't believe some of the rumors about Jiang Chun. In their opinion, they and Jiang Chun were both divine, immortal realm experts. Even if they went all out, they wouldn't be able to hurt an immortal, venerable, ferocious beast. However, Jiang Chun could kill a ferocious beast by himself and walk out of the desolate forest unscathed. It was obvious that he was bragging, and this hunting mission just happened to be able to test Jiang Chen's true strength. If he really had the ability, then it would be fine. If it was just bragging, then they wouldn't be convinced at all. Some of them even had a good relationship with Jiang Chun and secretly planned to overthrow him so that they could sit on the throne of the Wan Hua mercenary group's leader. Everyone is a new face. Jiang Chun walked into the manor with his hands clasped behind his back. He glanced around and said with a smile, "Leader Jiang Chun, these are the strongest members of our myriad transformation mercenary group. With them here, even if we run into two ferocious beasts at the immortal venerable realm, it won't be a problem," Chen Tai, who was standing next to Jiang Chun, said with a smile. "Not bad." Jiang Chun nodded with satisfaction. Under Jiang Chen's command, more than 10 people followed behind him and walked into the desolate forest. More than 10 divine immortal realm experts were majestic, and many people looked over. This kind of strength had never appeared in the mercenary town. And now, the Wanhua mercenary group was the strongest in the mercenary town. Jiang Chun walked in front of everyone with his hands clasped behind his back. When he passed by the Beast Slayer mercenary group, many mercenaries stuck their heads out of the manor to look outside, but Jiang Chun didn't even look at them. In the hall, Zhou Wu sat on a chair draped with animal skin. His hands were clenched tightly, and the teacup in his right hand was almost crushed by him. Leader Zhou Wu, Jiang Chun has already led people into the desolate forest. After looking around the manor for a while, the subordinate quickly walked into the hall. He first cupped his hands toward Zhou Wu and then whispered to him, "Other than Jiang Chun, who else is there?" Zhou Wu raised his head and asked, "There are more than 10 divine, immortal realm experts. They should be all the newly recruited experts of the Wan Hua mercenary group." The subordinate continued, "Crack! Good. Zhou Wu suddenly became excited, and the teacup in his hand was forcefully crushed. The broken pieces of porcelain pierced into his palm, and blood slowly flowed down his arm. However, at this moment, he didn't care about the injury on his hand at all. Instead, he laughed loudly. "Leader, that Jiang Chun killed an immortal, venerable, ferocious beast. The expert we found might not be their match." Seeing the leader so excited, the subordinate suddenly had a bad feeling. Do you believe it? A divine immortal realm cultivator killed an immortal, venerable, ferocious beast without any injuries. Have you heard of it? Zhou Wu sneered and stared at him as he asked. No. The subordinate shook his head. This Jiang Chun definitely hit the jackpot. Or rather, he encountered an immortal, venerable, ferocious beast that was about to die. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do it. Zhou Wu patted the teacup fragments in his hand. The mission of the immortal, venerable, ferocious beast was sent by him to the Wan Hua mercenary group. This time, Jiang Chun escaped. Not only did he take away dozens of mercenaries of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, he even took away his first position. Whether it was the new experts who entered the mercenary town or the cellar, their priority was the Wan Hua mercenary group, not him. Therefore, Zhou Wu secretly took action. First, he contacted 2 experts above the 5th level of the immortal venerable realm and asked them to ambush Jiang Chun in the desolate forest. Then he sent someone to the Wan Hua mercenary group to inform them that he needed an immortal, venerable beast's inner core. This way, when Jiang Chun entered the desolate forest, the 2 experts he invited could take action inside. His plan was very thorough. Chapter 1982. Jiang Chen's death has nothing to do with him. Moreover, the people in Mercenary Town would think that Jiang Chun was fighting an immortal, venerable realm beast in the desolate forest. Unfortunately, he was killed. But now, not only Jiang Chun, there are more than a dozen divine, immortal realm experts. Zhou Wu is naturally happy. As long as this group of people die, the Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group will collapse in an instant, and his Beast Slayer Mercenary Group will once again become the #1 mercenary group in Mercenary Town. At that time, he will gradually disintegrate the Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group. Those people who went against him because of Jiang Chun, he will secretly use some means to get rid of them. You can leave first. Remember, don't tell anyone about this. If I find out that you leaked this information, even if you can escape from Mercenary Town, I can still kill you. Staring at the subordinate in front of him, Zhou Wu's face suddenly became fierce. I will never tell anyone. The subordinate swallowed his saliva and hurriedly explained. No need to be so nervous. I'm just warning you, Zhou Wu said with a smile. Then he took out an immortal jade note from his storage ring and slapped it on the table. This is, looking at the 50 million immortal jade on the table, the subordinate was somewhat confused. This is for you. You have worked hard these past few days. Go and rest for a while. After Jiang Chen dies in the desolate forest, there are still many things that you need to do. Zhou Wu handed the immortal jade note to him and said, Thank you, leader. The subordinate took the immortal jade note and hurriedly left the hall. Outside Mercenary Town, Jiang Chun has already left with more than a dozen divine immortal realm experts. Half a day later, everyone arrived in front of the desolate forest. Jiang Chun stopped when he was about to enter. Everyone looked at him in astonishment. They don't know what Jiang Chun wants to do. This is our first time entering the desolate forest. I hope that you will listen to my command. If anyone dares to act on their own, then withdraw from the Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group. Understand? Jiang Chun turned around, glanced at them, and asked. Understood. Although this group of people agreed on the surface, they did not take Jiang Chun seriously at all. In Mercenary Town, a divine immortal realm expert would be respected and valued by every mercenary group. But now, in the Myriad Transformation Mercenary Group, not only was he not valued, but he was also reprimanded by Jiang Chun. This made them very unhappy. Let's go. Jiang Chun knew what they were thinking, but he didn't say anything. Just like that, the group of people entered the wild forest. Jiang Chun didn't stop as he led them deeper into the forest. An immortal, venerable beast would definitely not be active at the edge of the forest. It would definitely be in the deeper parts of the forest. And the last time they met, it was all because of luck. A ferocious beast at the divine immortal stage. Not long after they entered the forest, everyone sensed the immortal stage ferocious beast's aura fluctuation. Jiang Chun nodded at them, indicating that they should settle it themselves. In their perception, they could clearly sense that this ferocious beast cultivation was around the 7th level of the immortal realm. If they wanted to easily deal with it, they would need to be at least at the immortal venerable realm. Most of these people's cultivation was at the 3rd level of the immortal realm. Although they were slightly lower than the ferocious beast, there were more than a dozen of them. Dealing with such a ferocious beast was not a problem at all. Leader Jiang Chun, just watch from the side. Not to mention this ferocious beast, even if there are 2 more, we will absolutely have no problem. These cultivators who had just arrived in the wild forest did not know the true strength of the ferocious beast. They were eager to prove their strength in front of Jiang Chun, so most of them patted their chests and agreed. But not long after they finished speaking, the aura of 2 ferocious beasts came out from the forest again. 5th level of the divine immortal realm and 3rd level of the immortal realm. Jiang Chun smacked his lips and leaned against a tree trunk. He took out the talisman wooden sword from his back and sat comfortably. He wanted to see the strength of this group of people. The appearance of the 2 ferocious beasts did not make them feel any pressure. On the contrary, the person who had spoken earlier stood in front of everyone with a complacent look. After a while, 3 ferocious beasts appeared in front of them almost at the same time. Leader Jiang Chun, if we kill them, how are we going to divide the celestial jades? One of them turned around and asked Jiang Chun, looking at him. Give 1 billion celestial jades to the mercenary group and divide the rest equally among you. Jiang Chun said with a wave of his hand. 3 ferocious beasts with strong strength. In the wild forest, facing these immortal realm cultivators who had no cooperation, it was hard to say who would win. Jiang Chun had already prepared himself for a few people to die here. Although it was a pity, it was not a big deal when he thought about how these people did not respect him. Here they come, seeing the 3 ferocious beasts rushing toward them at the same time. The person who had spoken earlier held 2 sabers and slightly arched his back, ready to attack at any time. But when they were about to condense their celestial force, they suddenly found that their celestial force seemed to be blocked and could not exert 100% of their strength at all. Just when they were surprised, the ferocious beasts rushed in front of them in an instant. With a wave of their claws, 3 or 4 of them could not react in time and were forcibly sent flying. Bang! The 3 of them were sent flying and fell directly on the tree next to Jiangchen. Plop! They landed almost at the same time. Under the attack, the 3 of them immediately spat out blood and obviously suffered serious injuries. Tisk tisk! How can you be so casual when facing a ferocious beast? Looking at the 3 of them, Jiangchen could not help but sigh. However, he did not have the intention to treat them. Although they were injured, it was not life-threatening. If they could leave this place alive, they would only need to rest for a while to recover. Leader Jiangchen, why can't we exert our full strength? The 3 of them covered their wounds and asked in pain. I forgot to tell you that there is a special miasma in this wild forest that can suppress your cultivation to a certain extent. Jiangchen rubbed the talisman wooden sword and continued, but it doesn't make a difference whether I tell you or not. Looking at the way you looked just now, even if your cultivation was not suppressed, the result would still be the same. As he spoke, another person was beaten back and fell on his, but in front of Jiangchen. In the instant of the fight, 4 of them were injured. This caused the immortal realm cultivators to take it seriously. They did not dare to underestimate them, afraid that they would also end up in the same situation. The 3 ferocious beasts continued to attack, but the cultivators could only dodge and block. The attacks that they sent out could not cause much damage to the ferocious beast's strong physique. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.